Good morning, everybody. This is the Oskar Quentin Show, where I take calls from the general public and we discuss politics and whatever else might come up. Sometimes social issues, sometimes it turns into a little bit of a therapy session. Gets kind of weird sometimes. If you're looking to just jump to when the first call starts, you can find a pinned comment at the top of the YouTube comments. That'll tell you when that is, as well as some more comprehensive timestamps about the rest of the episode in the description below, where you can also find links to various things. There's some stuff for the staff members. We got Jessie back in the producer's chair today. Good morning, Jessie. Can the people hear you?
Good morning.
I think the people can hear you. You can also find some links for Raven, the editor, who is sitting at home doing the timestamps for the episode. And I'll get the backup account in the corner, which doesn't actually matter for me to do very early in the show, because it doesn't mean anything for the people on YouTube because there's nothing to click. But for the people on TikTok, you can click the backup account in the corner, and that'll get you, where am I? Am I live? Oh, it's because I'm logged into, I was trying to go into the live stream from the actual main account. Nope. We're gonna advertise Oskar Quentin 2 today. Let's get myself in the request queue. Let's open that up. Let's see. Does it want to work today? I think I already clicked it. I think I just have to wait. There we go. You'd think TikTok would have a quicker app, but they don't. There's the backup account. Muted for the duration of the show. Good morning, Goop. Good morning, Nate. Good morning, Jaden. Good morning, Nizy. Good morning, Matt. Good morning, Tori. And over on YouTube, we got, I'm sure, the regular crowd. We got Canadian Vicky, NESJoss64. Kevin's here. Good morning, everybody. Members only stream was lots of fun last night. If you're a monthly subscriber on one of the main platforms, you get to hang out and ask questions and goof off and all that sorts of stuff. What's in the news today? When is the Mitch McConnell deadline? Is it midnight tonight?
What?
Do you know about the deadline for Mitch McConnell?
He's been dead, line for a while, buddy.
Yeah. I know. We all know. But the deadline, basically there's a date by which if a senator dies, they have to do a special election. And if there is a special election, Thomas Massie has a chance of winning the seat. Now, fuck Thomas Massie. Let's get that out of the way. He said some very unfavorable shit about Fauci last week that is in pretty direct conflict with everything I said about Fauci's last week. Jessie on that one. She wrote me the report to read about his deposition because I did not have time to watch it.
Ooh.
Yeah, yay staff. So like Thomas Massie's a piece of shit, but he's an anti-Trump piece of shit. And like, once again, it's like not blue no matter who. Like I want Thomas Massie to be able to run, so I have a non-blue seat that I'm excited about, even though he sucks, because I can recognize that like somebody who might put a stop to this whole Trump situation might be worth voting for, even if they are a piece of shit. Also, historically, senators from Kentucky have been pieces of shit.
Oh, what a broad generalization you've made there. Too bad I second it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, one of them has been Mitch McConnell for like more than 2 decades. So.
The longer that we've been alive, he's been...
That man makes it really hard to love turtles as much as I do. But yeah, I like, okay, Andy Bashir had his message to he like wrote formally to Mitch McConnell, basically saying like, proof of life, buddy, verbal proof of life. Your office has released 2 photos. We're not buying it. But there was no, like, there's the legal deadline that they have to call the special election. Like, I don't know how it works legally. Maybe we can get like Law of the Wild or somebody who works in government knows their shit. Because it's like what happens? Like, if, like, what can Andy Bashir, the governor of Kentucky, do today to say that letter was something more than an empty threat? Thanks for the glasses. Are they going to call a special election today? Are they going to, like, Andy Bashir is not my favorite politician, obviously, but I think it's particularly cowardly for a politician to release a letter like the one he did last week, which was pretty straightforwardly, firmly lettered, begging for proof of life and saying that his constituents deserve to have proper representation. And if Mitch McConnell's not fit to serve because he's dead or something, you know, like that would be a problem for his fitness to serve, that they should do something about it. But it shows that Andy Bashir's a fucking spineless coward like the rest of them if that letter didn't fucking mean anything and they just let this deadline slip past without calling a special election. So I don't know if it works. Can they call it today? Would they call it tomorrow? Like, if there isn't proof of life, like, I don't know. I don't know what actually triggers a special election. Legally, mechanistically, I don't know at all how that works. Link tree in the bio for all the things if you want to watch the show after the fact. Find my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon so that you can support the show so I can continue to be able to afford to have 2 whole human beings help me run it so that the show can get better all the time. All that stuff, link tree in the bio. But we're going to start by talking to Johan Rojas Burner. Maybe that's a burner account that belongs to Johan Rojas? Perhaps. we shall see. How old are you?
I'm 18.
What year were you born?
2008.
I'm going to believe you for now. Do you support Trump?
I do.
Why is that?
I like his gun control or anti-gun control.
Oh, okay. He tried to take guns away from trans people by executive order. Do you think that's an appropriate thing for a president to do in consideration of the Second Amendment?
Not unless, well, I think it's inappropriate unless they've committed crimes in the past.
Well, yeah, I mean, because he's not talking about people who's committed crimes. He's just talking about all trans people.
Well, then no, I guess I wouldn't agree with that.
Okay, so it sounds like I have a really big concern about Trump not respecting the Second Amendment, which is that he tried to take it away from a particular group of people, which would be, for me, it's very much the same if he said no guns for black people, or no guns for women, or no guns for white men, or something like trans individuals are a protected group in that sense in my world, because I just, respect their ability to live their lives and use the bathroom and stuff. Those are some pretty basic needs for a person. And I think that it's pretty basic that you shouldn't, by categorization of what type of person you are, all those things like race, gender, creed that we talk about protecting in this country. I think if we have a president who's willing to try to take firearms away from a group that has actually a much lower criminality rate than other groups in terms of violent crimes committed with firearms, I can show you some of that data if you're interested in seeing it. I think if we have a president who's willing to do that with the Second Amendment, he actually doesn't value your Second Amendment right at all. And I think even looking at Democratic leadership, that's maybe going to restrict your Second Amendment right by requiring maybe heftier classes or licensing methods, or maybe banning certain types of guns, that sort of thing. I can understand that that's disappointing if you're excited about gun ownership. But I think that a president who's willing to just pick a group, I wouldn't quite say arbitrarily, but pick a group and just say that, attempt to take their Second Amendment right away. I think that somebody who really values the Second Amendment would really prefer that situation where gun rights might be restricted or legislated on a little bit, as opposed to a president who's just not going to respect the Second Amendment at all.
Yeah, I agree. I think trans individuals should have their Second Amendment protected unless they've committed crimes or have a history of mental illness. Well,
yeah, and I mean those are the normal standards for other people, right? If people have violent histories, we don't allow felons to have firearms. There's lots of particular restrictions for people who there's particular types of lesser crimes that can also get you restricted in certain places because the gun laws vary from state to state. But once again, I don't think you're going to find a president other than Trump who's willing to do something so dramatic and against the Second Amendment as just completely disallow a group of people from owning firearms. And my worry is that Donald Trump might, if he were successful at taking weapons away from trans people, thank goodness he wasn't. The Supreme Court shot it down. But if he was successful, that's the sort of thing where he could maybe say, maybe I'll do an executive order where if you say disparaging things about me on TikTok Live, you won't be allowed to own firearms. And for me, I am in the market for a firearm. I'm looking to buy one myself. I get a lot of death threats because I run this show. So firearm ownership has become an interesting thing. There's a bunch of stuff kicking around in that nightstand drawer, but I think a Glock would be a healthy addition to, all the stuff in that drawer, given the number of death threats I get. So I'm a little worried about my Second Amendment being restricted by somebody like Donald Trump.
Well, would you agree that Joe Biden and potentially Kamala Harris would restrict the Second Amendment more than Trump?
Well, I'm concerned with defending myself from people breaking into my home, and I don't know of any Democratic leadership that's trying to do anything with gun legislation that would give me a hard time doing that. And except for maybe in a couple ways, maybe I'd have to take a longer class to get trained to use it and get the license or whatever, but I'm in favor of that. That seems reasonable. Even if the law didn't suggest it, there is a requirement where I live to take a little course on gun safety, but if there wasn't, I think I would I'd probably want to pay an expert to do that anyway. I've used firearms. I'm very considerate of safety rules around firearms. I know not to point it at anything I don't want to destroy. I know to always treat it as though it's loaded. I know these basic rules. I know to keep my finger off the trigger until I'm absolutely ready to fire. I've been through it, but I still want an expert to I want an expert in the type of weapon that I'm going to buy to show me everything about it. I want to sit down with somebody who works on those weapons and learn how to take it apart and clean it and to care for it. And I want to learn how how frequently I should do that, for how frequently it's fired, how frequently I should fire it to keep it from like rusting or like whatever issues. Like I'm very interested in all that, and I think that anybody who owns a weapon should be, in the same way that anybody who owns a car needs to know how to drive it, needs to know the rules of the road, needs to demonstrate to the state that they can exercise the rules of the road safely. I think all of that is reasonable, and because I'm concerned with my safety and the safety of the people around me, no, I'm not concerned about what any Democratic leadership is going to do about my right to own a firearm.
Understood.
Does that change your thinking about Trump at all?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, what type of guns are you interested in owning?
Personally, since I'm only 18, I haven't even thought about that, but
well, yeah, so here's the problem. When we talk about people restricting amendment rights, I think it's worth pointing out that we've been changing what the Second Amendment means like constantly for hundreds of years, because what a gun has changed for hundreds of years. And along the way, it's taken Supreme Court precedent to continue to stretch the language that people are allowed to bear arms in order to form a well-regulated militia to defend against tyranny, which shooting beer cans in the backyard with your AK-47 has gotten really far away from what the language of the actual Second Amendment means. And I like to compare it to the First Amendment because we don't really have the town square anymore. We have places like TikTok that restrict free speech because it's their free speech that allows them to restrict my free speech. It's my free speech that allows me to restrict your free speech if I want to mute you or kick you off my show or something. I personally don't use the mute button in running my show, even if the person's yelling at me, just as an aside. But, we can look at the path forward for laws and the way that we look at the Constitution in this country, and I just think it's... why don't I have my TikTok chat on the YouTube? Sorry. Oh, look at this. Where is it? There it is. Sorry, everybody. We're looking at the wrong view. Sorry, back to what I was saying. I think that we can, if we look at a president and we say they might change the way a particular amendment right, like the First or the Second Amendment, is interpreted or applied, or they might pick Supreme Court justices. Emily, thank you very much for the galaxies. They might pick people who are going to do different interpretations. You just said that you hadn't even considered the type of firearm you might want to own. I'm sitting here with a really specific use case and plans to purchase a firearm, and I still want a Democratic pick. But I think you've stumbled on something that I'm being a little bit long-winded in getting to here, which is that most people don't on a daily basis exercise their Second Amendment right. Like maybe they do by owning a firearm and it's in their house, but it's not a part of their day. I think that the average person in America doesn't touch a firearm most days of the week, Like, do you think that that's a fair assumption to make?
Yeah, I can agree with that.
How many days a year do you exercise your First Amendment right?
My First Amendment?
Yeah.
I'd say all 365 days.
366 days every 4 years, right? Yeah, every fucking day, right? You walk out down the street, whether you choose to open your mouth or not, that's some form of exercising your First Amendment right. And my real concern is that somebody like Donald Trump is going to restrict your First Amendment right, or the First Amendment right of Americans generally, far more than somebody like Kamala Harris would have restricted those people's Second Amendment rights. And even in consideration of the fact that those restrictions, I think, are more daunting and scary, we're also talking about an amendment right that people exercise every single day, as opposed to one that some people sometimes choose to exercise, which I think matters in terms of weighing the things if you're concerned about them. Because I think that Donald Trump has done some decidedly anti-First Amendment things. I could get into that if you want. I don't know if you agree with me about that statement.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Right. So when it comes to protecting our rights, when it comes to protecting our safety, when it comes to protecting the things that are important to me as a guy who exercises his First Amendment right, and because I exercise my First Amendment right, I have to worry about my safety, which is why I'm going to start exercising my Second Amendment right. I look at that situation, and I think the safest situation for me to be able to protect my First Amendment right by using my Second Amendment right to bear arms to protect me from people who want to come to my house and fucking kill me, because once or twice a day, somebody tells me that they want to come to my house and kill me, or something like that. I have a very real world use case for both of those amendment rights, and I'm still sitting here thinking that a Democratic president is the one that I would want to guide our politics for the next few years so that I can make sure that I live safely, freely.
Yeah, I understand that.
Professional user in the chat says, I want to come to your house. Is that a threat, professional user in the chat? Like, look at that. They're offering it on a fucking silver platter.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It is a shame. It's a shame that that's where we're at with political violence in this country, that people like me who are just yapping from the comfort of their own home for the most part need to worry about that sort of thing. I actually do go out and protest, and I like, face up with ICE agents when they're in my neighborhood and that sort of thing. But that's not even what I get death threats about. It's about sitting here and talking to you. That's what they're really afraid of.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I'll let you go then.
Well, I mean, you called in. You don't have to stay on the line. But I mean, if I've just given you enough to chew on, that's fine. If you don't have a more clear response to it right now, is that what's going on?
Yeah, I'm not like super like pro Trump.
Okay. I hope you do think seriously about that, because I really do think that for the vast majority of people, the sort of things that Democrats want to do with restricting gun ownership, because I'm not going to lie to you, they do want to restrict gun ownership. They do want to make it harder. There are certain types of guns that many Democratic leaders want to just like take off the market and not allow people to buy unless they have a really good reason, like some sort of special high level licenseship or some special use case. New York is a place. I grew up in New York. New York's a place where you're not allowed to own a gun at all, really, unless you have a good reason. Like shopkeepers are allowed to own them to defend themselves. If if you're famous, you can own one. Because famous people have to worry about people breaking into their homes. Would I be famous enough to get a gun in New York? I have no idea. I don't know how famous you have to be. So I'm not going to pretend that there aren't restrictions that are happening. I think New York's a special use case. It's an unusually dense city where owning a car doesn't even really make sense. So I can kind of see that maybe people having lots of guns doesn't really make sense. There's not really a safe direction to point a gun in Manhattan because of the population density. So like I can accept those sorts of special use cases, but I really think that for like you don't even know what type of firearm you want, and I would bet that whatever type of firearm you want, the steps that you'd have to go through to get it wherever you live are probably pretty reasonable, even if the Democrats get what they want. Because you're an adult. If you can prove that you're responsible with a dangerous tool, you should be able to have it. That's my position on firearms. As a super left-leaning person.
Yeah, that sounds like we pretty much agree on that topic then.
Yeah, I'd love to. That's the thing you brought me. That's the issue you brought me. This is the Second Amendment. I really do feel like you've listened. I'd like for you to sit on that and call back in the future sometime.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Appreciate you, Johan.
Thanks.
W's? I think so. I think he listened. I think that was a good one. Yay. Thank you, Kelly, for the $3 on Venmo. Kelly said, they turn...
Tell me why Oscar always looks up when that happens, like it's actually happening in the room with him. It brings me great joy. It's just like, what?
I should start trying to like fight it. Like
cat.
I should try to bat it away. Kelly, thank you for the $3 on Venmo. Kelly said, I want to come to your house and pet the bejesus out of that cat. She will not let you. Scout is a shy creature. I have always said that if she knew how famous she was on the internet, she would be mortified. She'd hide under the bed for the rest of her life. But there are other cats here who are more camera shy who do greet the guests. My cat Suki is constantly bothering whoever is sitting in the producer's chair.
Suki is currently hiding behind the monitor in the producer's chair, but Suki is constantly my mortal enemy when I am here.
Yeah. To be my producer, you have to sit over there and you have to fight my cats while trying to pay attention to the Discord with me, which we don't even have open.
You did. You just covered it.
I covered it. I do that. There we go. Thank you, Kronos, for the $5. He said, at work with mid-workers, so no chat today. Much for me. W, Jessie, and Raven. Oh, you too, Oscar. Fuck you, Kronos.
Love you, Kronos.
Lance. What did Lance say? Let's open this up so I can see the usernames. Lance for $5 said, awesome name drop for Legion Miller yesterday. Wanted to name drop Alex O'Connor. He's a friendly. The conversation would be great to see between you two. I'm not familiar. Maybe shoot me a message on Instagram and I'll check them out. Because I'm probably not going to remember in this moment. Celestial Darkness sent... Oh, and by the way, go watch me, Legion Miller. She's awesome. I really like her video on the White House Correspondents' Dinner. She's a real voice of reason about some stuff. And she's a voice of reason who has fled the country because of what's going on. So... Canary has left the coal mine, ladies and gentlemen. Celestial Darkness sent $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say Trump should be legally obligated to wear turtlenecks year-round. Why? Anti-nudity laws? Thank you for the $5. Let's move on by talking to vibe-based reasoning. That sounds like a troll, even though, Trump supporters are pretty guilty of some vibe-based reasoning. How old are you?
20.
Do you support Trump?
Yeah.
Can you turn on your camera just so I can make sure that this isn't a complete troll with somebody who's just going to do vibe-based reasoning?
I mean, I'll turn on my camera, but, like, I'm not gonna like show my face or anything.
No, I want you to show your face because I think that you're just here for some vibe-based reasoning bullshit. I'm not really interested in vibe-based reasoning. I'm interested in reasoning. It's a waste of my time and it's a waste of the time of the 700 people watching. Yeah, but I don't think that you're going to give me reasoning that's anything other than vibe-based unless you show your face, because people who
vibe-based, it's just going to be
people who do vibe-based reasoning online tend to not want that reasoning to be seen by members of their family, peer group, workplace, whatever. So camera on or get off my show.
Do you think the argument of flow is vibe-based?
Oh, just flow guy? Yeah, fuck you, dude. You're not serious. Planet Earth is back. Is he going to pocket watch like he did yesterday? That was fun.
Yo, what's going on, Oscar?
Remind us how old you are.
28.
My name is pronounced the normal way, just so you know. The American way. I was born here. It's just spelled with a K. Yeah,
American normal way?
Yeah, it's spelled with a K because I'm named for a guy who famously defied the Nazis in the 40s. His name was Oskar Schindler. They made a really cool movie about him right before I was born in the 90s. But I was born in New York, and my name is Oscar.
I didn't really ask.
I'm sorry. Am I not allowed to say things that you don't ask me about? This is my fucking show, buddy.
Sounds like you got a pretty big ego, buddy.
Sounds like you're the guy who yesterday I offered on a silver platter an opportunity to pocket watch because I said I'd be happy to discuss the finances of the show with you if you asked reasonable questions that led to those being the answers, because I exercise transparency about how I run the show. But you were so startled by my good faith transparency that you ran. Why are you back?
No, it's not. It's not full transparency. There's a reason why you do that. You act like you have full transparency. Like, look, guys, I'm a good man. This is what I'm going to use the money for, et cetera, et cetera. That's just another manipulative tactic. We know this psychology, right?
I didn't say I was a good man. You did. If I'm going to use a psychology term, the one I would pick is projection.
Well, you act like you're a good man, right?
That's why you think I'm one. That's why you called me one.
Okay. So are you a good man or not in your own opinion?
I think I'm a good man. Thank you for asking.
Okay. All right, cool. Yeah. I voted for Donald Trump. I am a free thinker. And I'll tell you why. You, on the other hand, are not. Okay.
Okay.
Because the only thing that you can spew out is facts. You've read 1984, right? You've read 1984. Okay, so facts. Where do you get these facts from? From the higher authorities that give you these numbers and statistics. Right. You've read the book 1984, right?
I have.
Okay. Well, what do you think that they could mislead you with these facts in order for your perspective of things to be kind of miscued and not in tone with reality?
I think that fundamentally, if we're going to talk about epistemology, because that's the topic you've brought up, understanding what is true in the world. Are you familiar with that term, epistemology?
Epistemology, yeah, I am.
Yeah. So you want to have a conversation about epistemology, and each of us, when we're shat out onto the earth by our mother, we have to figure out what the mechanism by which we can take in the information around us and assess what about reality we can think is the case based on that information. And we all have to come up with some type of heuristic that says, based on this information, how can I tell if this information is accurate about the world? And the mechanism that I use is the one that we discovered during the Renaissance, which is that if we look at information and then apply it to our understanding of the world and then say, hypothetically, given this understanding I think I have of the world, if I behave in this way, if I do this thing, if I alter the state of the world in this way, I should expect the state of the world to change in such a way that the things that I observe are this. That's a hypothesis. I'm talking about the scientific method. And hypothetically, if you listen to the certain numbers from certain places, certain resources, certain institutions that have demonstrated they're pretty good at delivering numbers that are reliable, and when I say reliable, I mean if you use those numbers, maybe they're numbers to do with like medicine or facts and figures to do with blood testing or something like it. Maybe you become a doctor and you use the people who give you information that reliably results in you treating your patients well. I use the same heuristic for navigating my life, which is that I only listen to information from sources where if I listen to that information, I don't get led astray, which is something that I think that Trump supporters really struggle to do, because you keep offering information like, if I let Trump do this, the economy is going to react in that way. And here we are 18 months later, and the economy is not reacting in that way, which means that you're really failing that empirical test of your own hypotheses. I use the scientific method for figuring out what I think is true in the world.
Okay, cool. So you said you use sources.
If that's the most complicated version of what I said that you're capable of comprehending, sure.
Okay. So which sources do you use?
It depends very much on the subject matter.
Okay. And then do you ever look into these sources? Who owns these sources? What
That's really
organizations?
important.
The type of people that. What are their connections with other industries?
Yep, I've been watching very closely as like a lot of the everyday information, because we're not just talking about scientific information. I'm just talking about using the scientific heuristic to scrutinize everyday information in the same way that I would in a laboratory. So when it comes to the sources of everyday information, places like Wikipedia, places like CNN, places like Fox News, yes, I pay very close attention to the ownership structure, which is why I'm becoming more and more skeptical as the years go on of left-leaning news sources that I used to trust a little bit more, because their ownership structure has changed in a way that I'm quite worried about. Whereas for something like Wikipedia, that's actually not the case. They've remained like donor funded, and they have a really clear mission statement about the quality of information that they try to offer. And in terms of that empirical test, Wikipedia has a really, really wonderful track record of avoiding a lot of the perils that these other media outlets have fallen into, which is why I trust them over like an AI blurb or something like that. They're a much better way to get a summary with a source linked than Google AI or ChatGPT or something like that. So yes, as the information landscape has changed, I've done the work of keeping up to date with it, which I will admit is a mountain of work. It is very hard to update that heuristic, especially in the rapidly changing information age we find ourselves in.
Would you do you trust people more than organizations?
Depends on the person, depends on the organization. Both are entities. I judge them equally. I don't necessarily have an inherent decision about whether or not I trust a source more, whether it's an individual entity or a group entity.
Okay, but if like the individual entity and there's a lot of the individuals who have the same kind of idea or whatever they're talking about, do you trust them more? I
don't trust an argument ad populum. No. That's not a good way to judge anything, really.
So you don't trust people that actually see it or do things in real life.
That's not what I said.
Okay.
No. You said that if it was a group of people, would I trust that more? What I figured you were asking is, do I trust the larger group? And I was saying no to that. And then you changed what you were asking about after I answered to, what was it? The group of people who actually see and work on it, or something like that.
Right. I mean, with this day and age, with AI, I mean, these organizations are able to produce an AI video to the entire population of people in order to mislead them.
There's evidence that
I would rather have a first person perspective, or someone who I trust, who is like my best friend, who's actually out there on the scene to tell me what's actually happening. I'm not gonna.
Well, the fact that AI has made something like video evidence less reliable because it's easier to fool somebody into thinking that a doctored video is real, that doesn't make eyewitness testimony any more reliable than it already was. Because it wasn't very reliable to begin with.
Oh, no. It is pretty reliable if you rely on the person, that you have trust in the person.
It depends on the person, yeah. But I think that the way that you determine whether or not you should trust a person is through the same heuristic that I've been describing throughout this call. So I would expect, given the fact that you support Trump, that you probably don't use a very good heuristic for determining whether or not you should trust a person, because it sounds to me like you trust Donald Trump, which is fucking stupid. That's a dumb fucking thing to do.
I don't do that, but your side, the left side, trusts every single data and statistic.
We're talking about me.
You spew out hatred towards Donald Trump. You're on the left side.
I am on the left, but I don't co-sign everything that everybody on the left says, and I agree that people across the entire political spectrum don't have as good a heuristic as I do.
Oh, okay. So you're supreme being that is.
I'm not the best. I'm saying on average, the average person's heuristic for figuring out what is true is shitty.
Okay, so that previous guest before me, relies on feelings, moods, intuition. Do you not see there's some truth potentially in your intuition than things that they throw down our throats in order to regurgitate?
No, I specifically described it as like a seriously empirical method that I use for assessing whether or not a source of information is generally reliable. I think you know that, and I think you know that I didn't really include any of my feelings in that.
Wouldn't that be independent thinking, what he was doing?
Yeah, I mean, you can independently think some bullshit, but I don't think that that's what's happening with MAGA. I think they're being fed bullshit, which is why they're not free thinkers. Like, just because you're free thinking doesn't mean you're right. That's not what the science says.
Oh, yeah, you're not right. Oh, yeah, there's possibility that you're not right.
Correct, yeah. Okay. Just because I'm free thinking doesn't mean I'm right, of course. That'd be very silly to assert.
But I'd rather be a free thinker than taking all the news, the sources of what they're telling me to believe in.
So you'd rather make up your own news instead of finding a way to learn news accurately? I don't understand what you're suggesting you should do.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather live in the real life and see what I'm seeing.
But it's not the real life if you make it up.
Well, no, I'm not making it up.
Where are you getting it from then?
I'm getting it from
I answered where I get information from. I answered what my heuristic is. What's yours?
My personal experience from other people, I go on Reddit a lot and I see what other people are talking about.
Why do you trust people on Reddit?
Well, I mean, if there are a lot of people saying the same thing, I'm going to start
argument ad populum. So, like, you know, when a lot of people were saying the same thing about how good it is to enslave black people in the country, you think that would have been sensible to listen to the majority of land owning people who had say? Like, what are you talking about? That's silly. Reddit's an interesting resource because there are certain times where Reddit's really useful. Like, I'll tell you the ways that I use Reddit. Sometimes when there's a shooting, there was a shooting in Madison a couple weeks ago, Madison, Wisconsin, and I wanted some information on it. I wanted multiple camera angles of it. I wanted to be able to judge whether or not I thought this was a good or bad shooting, just in the legal sense. All shootings are bad in the ethical sense. But anyway, I went to the Madison subreddit because I know that when something happens here in Minneapolis, one of the fastest way to get high resolution footage that hasn't been baked down by the news stations yet is to go to the local subreddit. It's a little bit like watching the local news. You get really on the ground information. If I'm woodworking, I might go to a woodworking subreddit and get some information and go, oh, this is a place where a bunch of woodworking enthusiasts hang out. Look at them all working on their crazy cool woodworking projects together. This guy says I should do this. Click on his profile. Oh my God, look at all his projects. He's such a talented woodworker. I should listen to him. That makes sense to me. But if I look at the homepage of Reddit, if I look at r/all, or if I look at my custom feed, what I have found over the last 20 years or so that I've been using Reddit is that it has more and more become polluted with advertisement, and more important news stories that I care about get suppressed by their algorithm, which is something that they have been caught doing red-handed. It's something they've made announcements about. It's something that when Reddit went public, or did it go public or did they just open there was something that changed with their ownership structure where more people had their fingers in the pie, and it really, really changed the incentive structure for them to allow information that's important to float to the top. So I no longer use the front page of Reddit as a metric, as a litmus test for how important a story it is. Because there was not that long ago, if something important happened, you could expect it to be the top link on r/all for something like 16 hours of the day. And that's just not the case anymore. So I don't trust Reddit in that way anymore because it has begun to fail that constantly updating heuristic test that I mentioned, for example, earlier. Wikipedia hasn't failed. They've been steadfast in their mission statement.
Okay, but you do trust people on Reddit that have
for other reasons that satisfy my heuristic demonstrated that I should listen to them on a subtopic like the city they live in or the hobby they have. But that's not really me trusting Reddit or Reddit's algorithms. That's just me trusting a person who I found through Reddit. Tell me what ChatGPT thinks about my argument. For the YouTube watchers, the teacup icon on the screen means that he is swiped out of the app. He is muted, but he can still hear me probably. We could even hear him typing before he got swiped out. He was clickety-clacking on the microphone. So he's gonna beg for ChatGPT for a way to get out of this while I read that Melissa sent me $2 on YouTube Super Chat to say, are you psychologying us? Facts hurt feelings. Yeah, oh no. Bumpa says for $2, listening and learning, inspired to do more myself. We could always improve that heuristic. Never think that your heuristic's gonna stay good. Oh, he ran. He didn't like that I had so comprehensive a trouncing of his position on Reddit. Oscar's a Redditor. I just lost half my audience because people hate Redditors. But I think I described the type of Redditor that I am. There's certain things Reddit's good for, and reading the homepage and getting your news from that is not one of them. International politics, international news is kind of pretty good on Reddit. The people who post to that subreddit do really, really well, but the regular news subreddit where we cover American news on Reddit is really falling to shit in terms of reliably reporting on important things. Oscar, how dare you use fact that offends the caller? Unsupported worldview. Also, I vote that this caller be our second classroom bitch. Classroom bitch. Oh yeah, maybe he can hang out with David. Thank you, Cordova Labs, for the $5. I very much appreciate it. Emily sent $10 to say, intuition can sometimes be a really good reason to initiate a new study or point of research, but human bias makes that study or research necessary to form a conclusion, unless you're a dummy. Well, yeah, you can you can use your vibes to assess what you want to learn about, but if you use your vibes to do the learning, you done fucked up. Let's see. The TikTok chat likes the can't be hating on Reddit and use TikTok. Fair. I also use Reddit also. Bose totally agrees with my Reddit stance. Yeah, I think that's a reasonable stance on Reddit. ChatGPT told him to log off. ChatGPT said, run, you're talking to Oskar Quentin about Reddit. Get the fuck out of there, buddy. Courtney Marie Yoder. We'll see if that's a Trump supporter or not. Hello, how old are you?
Hi, I'm 26.
Hello, are you a Trump supporter?
I'm not. I just had a quick question, if that's okay. I'm a friendly.
Yeah, get your question out and I'll answer after I kick you.
Yeah. So, in a perfect world, midterms, House and Senate gets flipped. How long, realistically, do you think it would take to, change everything that Trump's done, rebuild everything that he's like fundamentally broken down?
That's a good question that unfortunately doesn't have a very good answer, because there's certain stuff that's going to get fixed pretty quickly if we like halt what he's doing, because we can't really like fix too much with the House and Senate, but we can with the degree to which we expect to win them potentially for Democratic tickets in November. We're not going to fix too much for the second half of Trump's term, but we are going to stop him from making it worse if we control the House and the Senate. I don't think we'll get what we need to impeach him and get him convicted and removed. But I do think that tees us up to then have potentially a left-leaning president next, and then we can get to work on fixing stuff. And there's a big pile of stuff we can fix right away. There's some stuff that, you know, we can just change, you know, do with executive order the way every president does when they sit down at the Resolute desk for the first time. There's some stuff that the House and Senate would very quickly do and send to the president to undo some of these laws. But there's some more institutional changes that are going to be really, really difficult to fix. And the biggest one for me, the most frustrating one for me, is that Donald Trump has appointed 3 of our 9 Supreme Court justices. I think that if we impeached and removed him, we'd be in an interesting position to ask ourselves the question, are the appointed justices of an illegitimate president themselves illegitimate? Because I think it's complicated by the fact that they were appointed during his first term, and this is now his second term, and if he were to be impeached and removed, it would probably be for something he did during his second term. I think there's a potential for law changes that could happen potentially during the second half of his term, or potentially with a new president supporting a blue Congress that would say, hey, if the president does this, this is very illegal, this is cause for impeachment, this is a high crime and misdemeanor. And then we go back to that question we had the first time, which is, can we retroactively impeach him and then have some sort of outcome like that? I think it's clear that our legal system's not impervious to the type of misbehavior we're seeing from Republicans right now, which is why they've been able to create this state of affairs. So I think that part of fixing it is potentially going to be changing some laws so that it is more clearly and obviously illegal, the things that Donald Trump did, so that it's more clearly and obviously treasonous that the Republicans in Congress refused to impeach him. I think that calls their legitimacy into question. But the way law changes work in this country is that if they violated those laws before they were passed, they're in the clear. So fundamentally, I think the longest standing thing that's going to be very, very difficult to undo is the effect he's had on the Supreme Court. Because the ways around that are to pack the court, which to me, I'm a little weary of a solution that I wouldn't like the other side using in general. Like, if I don't think it's fair game for both parties, I don't really want to support my I don't want to call the Democrats my parties. I'm not fond of the Democrats. They're my party for the midterms, though. I don't really want to present as like, if I wouldn't want a Republican president packing the court, I probably wouldn't want a Democrat doing it either, just for fairness' sake. So I think that addressing the fact that the Supreme Court precedent in this country has moved away what I think like true American values are, I think that's going to take decades to fix. That's going to take term limits. That's going to take people dying to get removed from their positions and replaced by people appointed by somebody who actually follows the Constitution, unlike Donald Trump. So there's a big pile of shit to fix, and I think it's going to be kind of that asymptotic return where like a lot of it'll get fixed right away, and then there's a bunch of stuff that's going to take a really, really long time to fix, because it took Republicans a really long time to break it. You know, Trump has been the center of Republican politics in America for something like 11 years. That's a long time. And it's easier to break things than it is to fix them generally. So if we have 10 years of damage, it might take 20 years to undo it. Yeah. Link tree in the bio if you want to be somebody who supports and make sure that I can pay my employees and buy gear and travel. 2 business trips planned for the show next month. If you consider me going to California to get my teeth fixed for free, a business trip. But I don't know. That affects the optics of the show, doesn't it?
It's a business trip for me.
It is a business trip for you. You gotta wheel me around while I'm on all those dentistry substances.
What a good time I will have.
Yeah.
Stay tuned on my TikTok.
Oh God, I'm not even going to be aware of what you're posting. That's going to be horrible. TP13 is our next caller, and we'll see what they're about. He says, "Let me join." It's okay. You're next. Here you are. No, he disconnected right away. What? Come back.
Got a couple people to thank.
Got a couple people.
No, you don't.
No,
oh my God, you liked it already. Sorry.
Look at that. I don't even need you. I'm keeping up today.
I know you've been doing it on your own for a couple days.
2 days in a row without a producer in the chair sucked. I'm not a fan.
You just got so good at it. You're outgrowing me.
No, but I was like fully ignoring the Discord the last 2 days, which I'm already not great at that. Oh yeah, look at that. Somebody sent me a screenshot of that guy who sent me the thread in the chat. That's a thing that happens in the Discord sometimes. lpop.vlol. I don't comprehend this username. Perhaps I will comprehend his arguments about politics. That would be interesting. How old are you?
39.
Do you support Trump?
No, I just got a question for you.
Quick question. I'll answer after I kick you. What's up?
El Papadot. It's just from the movie 8 Mile. El Papadot.
Oh, didn't get the
Oh,
reference.
yeah.
Yeah. But what do you think's gonna come first? A civil war or like a race war?
I think a race. I think a race.
Country's pointing.
I think a race war would be a civil war, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah.
I mean, I think when I live in Minnesota, and there were a couple of things that happened throughout Metro Surge where the governor was really at odds with the president, in terms of like the National Guard coming here, or which law enforcement agencies would do this or that, or like Walz Tim Walz, our governor in Minnesota, like wanted certain law enforcement agencies to cooperate in this way or not cooperate in that way. And there was a lot of conflict where I thought to myself, like, yo, the National Guard is being called in to protect people under the guise of like preventing civil unrest, but it felt a little bit like the National Guard was coming in to like calm things down with ICE agents terrorizing us. That was the closest to feeling like I was living in a civil war type situation that I've ever been in my life. Like that was the closest to feeling like I lived in a war zone in my entire life, and I lived in Manhattan on 9/11. I was walking home past Humvees, and it was unclear the motivations of the people in the Humvees. It was like, wait, hold on. I had to tell people around me where it's like, no. Trump didn't send the National Guard. That was actually Walz, which he does sometimes when there's like protests or for the Floyd riots. They called in the National Guard. And it's like that's the sort of thing that I worry about in terms of a civil war, because that's two people with executive authority in the government, the president and the governor of Minnesota, going at odds with each other. So that's like a government level. It's a government level civil war where it's one part of the government fighting the other part of the war. But I think if we had widespread fighting in the streets about race, which I don't think it would be white people versus black people. I think quite frankly, like, are white people against non-white people. I think what would be more likely is that this is the sort of thing we're seeing with Jake Lang wanting to come and do the N-word march here in Minneapolis, which is that the general advice that we're hearing from the protesters, whose opinion I value about this stuff a little bit more than my own, is that people of color should stay the fuck home, and that people who are not people of color, including myself, should show the fuck up, because we don't want a race war. If there's going to be a war against the racists because they're violent and they constantly assault us and threaten us and do all these illegal things, it shouldn't be a race war. It should be good white people versus bad white people. That's probably better to prevent a race war.
Or should I say, instead of saying race war, I would say, okay, like a civil war, do you think it'd be more rich versus poor then?
Well, I think that if we're going to talk about what a civil war can look like, it's going to be a distinction of whether it's the government fighting itself or if it's the people on the two sides of this partisan divide that we have fighting each other. I don't fucking want either. I'm not a fan of violence. I don't want anybody to get hurt. That's what I'm worried about most. But people are getting hurt. There is some violence happening. So which is more likely? I guess if I were to just be straight up with you and like say, oh, I don't know this, because I don't know the future. I can't predict these chaotic systems. But if I just from where I'm sitting today, the way I feel on this particular Monday, I reckon that fighting in the streets is more likely to come from the likes of Jake Lang and people defending their communities from the likes of Jake Lang, him and his friends and people like him. I think that that's more likely to bring us widespread bloodshed in the street than like government action between like red states and blue states. I think it's more likely to come from the people than from the government. But I don't know. It's a toss-up.
I appreciate your insight, man. I listen to you all the time. I'm following now, and keep doing what you're doing, brother.
Appreciate you. Thanks for hopping up. Insightful question. Because, I mean, I worry about political violence all the time. I'm not going to sit and deny that there's a political violence problem in this country. Charlie Kirk being assassinated is a symptom of that. Melissa Hortman, a lawmaker in Minnesota, being assassinated in her sleep is, I think, a more serious example of that. But for some reason, people respect the racist, misogynist Charlie Kirk more than Melissa Hortman, who'd given her life to be a public servant, actually serving the people, actually serving a constituent of a group of people who voted for her democratically. But I also take the historical lens of saying that if you have a country, if we just ignore that this is America for a moment and we talk about the fact that we have a country where the Constitution isn't being followed by its government, that's a recipe for political violence. That's just obvious from studying history. When the rules and norms of government are violated in the way that they are currently right now, we don't have to make a comparison to Nazi Germany. We can compare to any other failed state and say, like, what were the symptoms leading up to this? And it very often is some asshole taking charge and setting up these little pieces of legal precedent to make sure that the Constitution doesn't necessarily need to be followed, or whatever charter that particular country is following. And a lot of the time that's less conspicuous stuff than Alex Preddy being murdered in the street. A lot of the time that's an executive order, something like 14 months ago, that labeled anybody who's Antifa, which is just a descriptor that means anti-fascist, labeling anybody who's Antifa a terrorist, which then later, a calendar year later, can be used in a state like Minnesota, where there's all this conflict, both like socially between like Republicans hating us, and then in the government between like Trump having a real vendetta against our elected officials like Tim Walz and Ilhan Omar, because they, connect to these wedge issues of fraud or Somali immigrants, or like whatever particular thing they're putting the spotlight on right now. I worry about political violence. That's the bottom line. Okay, yeah. The process that gets to arresting people in a state like this under the guise of protecting us from political violence is a slow process of those executive orders, appointing the judges that years later handle the cases that use that executive order as a charter to like get law enforcement to go after these people. Like that sort of thing is happening in the background really, really surreptitiously. Whereas like the conspicuous stuff is important, but like it didn't create any like specific legal precedent that Alex Preddy was murdered and not investigated, but it did create a precedent that they can get away with breaking the laws as they exist. So I worry very much about political violence, because when we see those sorts of symptoms from a country, the sensible bet is that there will be more political violence. And I worry all the time about that. I live in a place where I've experienced a lot of what I consider to be political violence. I think the ICE agents who assaulted me for exercising my First Amendment right were committing political violence against me. But people don't care about that. People think I'm a keyboard warrior. People think I'm a bitch who only sits in this room. But you haven't watched enough of my videos if you think that. August sent me $10 on YouTube Super Chat to say thank you for everything that you and your staff do to help educate others. I've learned a lot from y'all and hope that I can continue to do so. Oh, happy to have you along for the ride, and I really appreciate the donation, because the show runs on donations. It's the ad money's helpful, but it is not enough for us to do a bunch of the really cool stuff that I'm excited about being able to do with the platform that I'm building for myself. So I really do appreciate every penny of the support. Jgbg is our next caller, and we'll see what they want to talk about.
Which I'm already not great at.
Hello?
At that.
Oh, he's teacupped. Hello?
Yeah.
Oh, you're muffled. You have a Bluetooth device on? What's going on?
No, I do not. Can you hear me?
You're a little soft. Are you far from the mic?
Not really.
Do you have a Bluetooth device connected? I think it's turning off his Bluetooth. There we go. Ooh, let's hear you.
Can you hear me?
I think that's better. I'm just going to turn you up a little bit. How old are you?
I am 30.
30. Are you a Trump supporter?
So, no, not really. I just wanted to, if it's okay, I just wanted to come in and give my piece on the situation with Venezuela.
That topic hasn't come up in a little while. What do you think about Venezuela?
So I am from Venezuela, but I live here in the U.S. I actually am in Minnesota.
Okay.
I met him a few days ago. Jesus, I don't know if you remember.
I don't know which inbox. I haven't been through them too much. I've been very busy the last couple of days. Haven't had time to read my mail.
Okay. Well, the thing is, to a point, we are okay with it. I just don't like some of the. I feel like it just causes division the way some people talk about it, because it shouldn't be too much of a thing that people have to comprehend too deeply. Like the situation was bad, so like to a point, I support what happened with Trump helping out in that regard, like just the Maduro situation, just getting him out. Anything past that, I just put it in this, like, imagine you're drowning, and the only person that can get you out of the water is a rapist. So you have, I mean, it's fucked up, but like think about it that way,
Oh dear.
You know, if the rapist was gonna take me onto the boat, rape me, and throw me back in the water, I might say no.
But you don't know that. So I will take my chances to see if I survive. That's kind of the way I put it. That's kind of the way I see it.
I see it my way. I think you're gonna get raped and thrown back to the dogs.
The water.
The water, whatever the analogy is.
Hopefully not, but my parents are there, and the situation has been terrible. Like we didn't even have press. Now we at least have press.
Yeah, but the United States controls your oil market. That's fucked up. Like, if we're gonna use the rapist analogy, he's elbow deep up your ass, and you're happy about it because you're not wet.
Well, you know, that's the way you see it. The way I see it is, now at least we have a chance of like having elections at some point.
I don't think you do, because the United States has demonstrated that if we don't like the purported outcomes of your elections, we will interfere because we want your oil. I don't think we did it out of the goodness of our own heart, which means that if you have to look forward into the future about what the rapist is going to do with you while you're sitting on his boat, you have to wonder why he pulled you out of the water in the first place, and it wasn't because he doesn't like seeing people suffer.
I understand what you're saying. Like,
right. So maybe if a known rapist pulled me out of the water onto his boat, I'd still defend myself from him, right? Does he get to rape me because he rescued me?
100%. So
right. So okay. So if you consider yourself rescued from Maduro, here we are facing up with the rapist. Conveniently, it's not an analogy. Donald Trump does happen to be a rapist. Kind of forgot that for a moment.
Why build the analogy that way?
Well, okay, yeah, right. So right. So that's the comparison. So like, great. You can be happy that Maduro's out of power. Win for you. I'm happy for you. Great. Donald Trump's still a rapist. Donald Trump is still a problem. We should still be very much anti-Trump. But I think that across the board, he still made the world a worse place by what he did to Venezuela, because I don't think he created a path forward that offers safety to the people who he rescued from Maduro. I don't think it's fair to say he rescued anybody from Maduro, because the power structure that kept Maduro in power is still there.
If the situation was different, and if we hadn't had a leader that will potentially fight to a better outcome that he's right now like putting aside. And we know that, like Maria Corina.
I mean, you're not so foolish as to think that Donald Trump is going to create a situation where the elections in Venezuela are fair, right? That tends not to be the influence that Donald Trump has over elections, making them more fair.
No. My situation is different. The way I see it is, there's a path, somewhat of a path now, for the leader that we have, the political leader that we have, to now have some more influence in the situation. Like, regardless of, because there's press, because there is other things, but I do not trust Trump. I just appreciate the one thing that removing, like, kind of like stirring the pot a little.
JGB, I see where you're coming from, but I ask you to look up the banana republics and the USA's involvement in that, and I think that'll give you a clearer picture of our history in meddling in foreign governments.
I know about that. That's, yeah, I mean...
Yeah, but
because
you're sitting here thinking it's going to be different for you this time, and we're sitting here being like, dude, don't fall for this.
We're gonna pick a new dictator that just does what we want.
Yeah.
That's historically what we have done every time, and the people that we've hired these new political leaders for are historically not stoked about what we did. So you're just kind of seeing the good part. The next part's not fun.
Well, that's also evidenced by the fact that, like, you guys considered Maduro a dictator because you considered him an illegitimate president. He was replaced by who was his vice president in name only, who could now be considered a dictator for the same reason. That dictator wanted to disobey Trump. Trump said, we're going to continue military action against your country if you don't listen to us. So your new dictator relented, and now you have the president of the United States controlling your country through military force in exactly the way that Jessie just described is going to happen. That's the voice of Jessie, my producer, who's sitting on the other side of the room, by the way. So yeah, I just don't think your state of like you might be enjoying a little vacation from some of the concern about this, but I don't actually think your situation's better, and I don't think your future is going to be better.
You're pretty close to being right. The difference is she sold Maduro. Like this, this didn't happen. So I
He
think
what Maduro? He what Maduro?
What?
I just didn't hear you. He what Maduro?
Delcy, like the vice president, now president, monarch, whatever, sold Maduro. Like they planned it all together.
That's a conspiracy theory that even if it was true doesn't change my position on this.
No. Yeah, I know. I just said you're pretty much right on everything. So anyway, I was just giving my piece. I might go watch a show of yours at some point.
Appreciate you for hopping up.
Take care.
Thanks for bringing a new topic. That was great.
It's been a little while since we've talked about Venezuela because I do like to bring up that it was convenient that before starting his war in Iran that jacked up global fuel prices, Trump did this thing where he took control of the Venezuelan oil market so that he's better able to profit from the greater the increase in fuel prices worldwide. Is he helping the American people with that fuel? Is he lowering our gas prices by delivering the oil here? Is he using that money to lessen the burden on the taxpayer? No, he's doing neither of those things, and he's offshoring the money in fucking Qatar of all places, the same place that offered him that jet for free. How suspicious. Thank you, Jazz, for the $2 daily teaching donation. Education is important. Lots of people seem to think that it doesn't. We spoke to a pretty racist youngster who didn't realize that he had a better education. That was weird. We had a racist on who was better educated than he thought he was. I gave him the Hamlet test. I had him read like whether 'tis nobler, like that whole thing, and he like did a good job. I was like, whoa, I might be able to reach this guy. Was reaching him. He accidentally said the name of a substance, and I kicked him. I've been hoping to hear back from that guy because I think I got a chance.
What a shame.
What a shame. I was like really making progress on having that guy see that he thought he wasn't racist, but I believed him when he thought he wasn't racist. I don't think he understood what it means to be racist. Anyway, that's a little throwback to a couple episodes ago. TK Aquarius something or other?
I think it's TK Aquarius.
TK Aquarius. Our next caller. That's what they are.
Session rate or cost per conversion. I'm not sure. Which is why I'm wanting to brainstorm before I put the final
Can you hear me?
Goals sheet together, and there are multiple goals on that.
We're gonna talk to Shepard 1776.
He sounded like he was in a business meeting.
Yeah, it was like I might have been doing something more important than my show. Hello, how old are you?
Hello, host. 37, sir.
Appreciate you starting with the age. Do you support Trump?
Yes, sir. For the most part.
Yeah, well, when people like add that little asterisk for the most part, I always just clarify that. What I mean by Trump supporter is somebody who is happy that he won the election and wants him to stay president.
I'm happy that he won the election. I want him to stay president for his term, but I want someone young and fresh and new in 2028.
That's a Trump supporter in my book. Why do you support Trump?
I think consistently, for me, I'm not a single issue voter, but something that really, I'm a veteran, something that I really like the fact that he's doing is projecting our strength. When I was in Afghanistan, back in 2008, crazy times, I knew we were never going to win that war, and I knew eventually we were going to have to get out. But I was not happy with the execution of the withdrawal. Now, I don't blame Vice President Kamala Harris or President Biden for the withdrawal. I blame the commanders on the field and Lloyd Austin, then Secretary of Defense. I think that they misled President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris, and they did the best decision they could with the information they had. But what really upset me is that not a single one of them was relieved of their command. And I'm referring to Lloyd Austin and the generals in the field. And the whole Afghanistan withdrawal was just embarrassing. It hurt American prestige.
I don't actually think that there was a way to leave Afghanistan that wouldn't have been messy. What do you say?
That's your opinion.
That's my yeah. What's yours? Should it have been done?
Well, for one, we should never have got rid of Bagram. That was our first strategic mistake. For some stupid reason, a certain general decided to say, "Hey, let's get rid of Bagram. Let's abandon Bagram." When the Taliban were moving in. Which very hurt our military capabilities. That base was secure, it was built up. Bagram should have been the last base we left. But because of crappy generals, and again, I don't blame Vice President Kamala Harris or President Biden, I blame the generals. They made stupid decisions, strategic decisions that were going to hurt. Yes, eventually, there was no way we could have won Afghanistan. We'll never defeat an ideology, period. That's why we'll never win the war on terror, because you cannot defeat an ideology. But in the way we left was horrible. And again, like I said, I don't blame the administration. I blame the people under them. And the fact that none of them are held accountable. That was a strategic mistake. And that's what really upset me, because I feel personally as a vet, and being over there and seeing how just dishonorable we left, It just hurt our prestige. And I think, go ahead.
I'm just not like, okay, so wasn't Bagram like the last airbase that we left? Like, wasn't that where the fiasco happened?
No, it was Kabul International's.
Oh yeah, right. That was the last evacuation. So like,
yeah, it should have been Bagram, but.
Sure, okay, but don't you think that if we had a different like last point of exfiltration that we'd still run into that sort of problem?
Yes and no. See, Kabul wasn't built up as well as Bagram was. A lot of the defenses up in Kabul International weren't as great.
Right, right. And if we hadn't had C-19 Globemasters evacuating people from Kabul International Airport, an even then larger crowd of people would have been swarming the commercial aviation aircraft there, which would have probably resulted in greater disruption, more flights that didn't get to take off, and more deaths. So that's why I'm worried about that.
We had the capability to have both, but we didn't. We did a strategic error in just abandoning one. Save Peter to save Paul. We had the resources and availability.
Why do you say no? I think that regardless of the timeline on Bagram, what I just said about Kabul International is probably true.
Again, like I said,
C-19 and C-17 Globemaster. I got the name of the plane wrong. Whoopsie daisy.
Well, that's fine. I mean, literally, there were so many damn planes there. I mean,
probably some C5 Super Galaxies as well. But anyway, yeah, I just don't think that there's a version of the United States leaving Afghanistan where there isn't a swarm at Kabul, where there aren't people.
I think unfortunately that was going to happen regardless. But again, I just feel that we could have controlled their narrative a little bit better if we did not get rid of Bagram, because from Bagram we could have done a lot more, in my opinion.
Okay, like so
again, I don't blame
right. So there's this issue of like the order of operations for pulling out of Afghanistan. We can sit here and argue about which of these potential strategies would have resulted in less harm. How many Americans died in the withdrawal?
13. I think, was it 40 something wounded?
How many Americans died per year in Afghanistan before we pulled out of the conflict?
Under the Trump administration, I think he had 22 lost in his first 2 years, and then his last 2 years in his first administration, not a single one. Though, like, I think 30 of them were wounded, if I remember correctly.
Right. So this is a conflict that we're kind of slowly losing some men for, slowly losing some resources for, and we're sitting here arguing about whether the number 13, if all we care about is U.S. servicemen, which is not all that I care about. I do care about a lot of those civilians at Kabul International.
I agree.
But
horrible what happened.
Right. But we're quibbling about like which of those things would have resulted in less harm, instead of answering the question of why do you think as a serviceman that Donald Trump is a good president? Because like when you say that we're a show of force for the world, like, yeah, we're doing some forceful stuff, but I think you need like a real middle school caveman brain type of attitude towards U.S. hegemony to think that we look good to the military powers the world over right now. I think that we look like a bunch of cowardly bitches.
Well, I mean, I disagree wholeheartedly, because we're flexing our strength.
No, we're not. How many?
Like, holy shit! We did not know America.
No, we're begging. We've begged NATO for help with the Strait of Hormuz. We've had multiple negotiations that have fallen through. Trump has said that it's open, and then there've been people who've died in bombings of ship after he said it was safe. He said that we're going to be able to keep it open with the Navy, and then we failed to do that. They're fucking laughing at us, dude. He's biffing it. What are you talking about?
Are you sure they're laughing at us? Because we degraded them so much, their capability of even launching any more attacks. Again, I'm frustrated with Trump right now when it comes to Iran. 100%.
No. The fact that so small a country has been able to so directly influence quality of life of Americans through the impact they have on the global economic system by closing the Strait of Hormuz, like, shows that, like, yeah, they might be a smaller adversary, but they have us by the fucking nutsack, dude. Like, it's an embarrassment.
Again, if we continue degrading them as we have been, I don't think they're going to have much, because they're begging for
that won't change the past. That won't change the past, and everything that I just said happened in the past, and it is things that serious powers the world over will laugh at us about. Yeah.
But for 47 years, they've been a thorn on our side, and we finally took care of it. But again, it's not about Afghanistan. And again, you got to look at it geopolitically. You got to look at the big picture. China's our main political adversary, in my opinion. Geopolitical.
I agree.
You agree with that?
I agree. Their shipbuilding rate's very concerning to me.
So yes, don't worry about the shipbuilding rate. In terms of tonnage, we crushed them. But
I'm worried about their tonnage in terms of them controlling the South China Sea and invading Taiwan. But whatever.
But see. Here's my point where I'm going to come across that. China, what percentage of their oil do they import?
I don't know off the top of my head.
70%. Where does China get predominantly their oil? Venezuela, Iran. Right now, what Trump's doing is tightening the noose around China. That's why I agree with what he's doing in Iran, even though his end game, I'm pretty upset with him in terms of the end game. But we are struggling, choking China in terms of oil, because again, they import 70% of their oil. Majority of it is from Iran.
What we're demonstrating in our war in Iran is that we can't even keep our armaments there supplied, like with missiles and ammunition, for a conflict with a country the size of Iran. China's also fucking laughing at us. They can deal with the oil prices.
Are you sure about that? Because right now they are petrified with the capabilities. No one understood the true capabilities in the United States.
They are petrified with the capabilities. What are you talking about?
Oh, absolutely. The stuff that we're doing with our weapon systems and so on and so forth. I mean, when I was in the service, my biggest fear was a conventional war with Russia. After giving Ukraine our second-rate weapons, and kudos to President Joe Biden for what he did. I agree with him what he did with Ukraine.
I'm going to pause and say fucking common ground. We disabled Russia by supplying aid to Ukraine. United States. Good. That's sensible.
I was no longer afraid of seeing what the Ukrainians did with our second-rate weapons. I mean, wow! Like we crushed Russia.
Yeah. For a very small price tag, we completely disabled Russia's military. That's good. I don't think that's what. I think he got a phone call because he got teacupped mid call, so he's probably mid speech. So he's probably gonna come right back. Hold on. You're muted.
Sorry,
when you're
money.
You just start over. You're muted when you're out of the app.
Sorry about that. The more money we were giving to Ukraine, the more Ruskies were, unalive. I was happy with that. Again,
I'm not happy about those young men dying, but I am happy that they're running out of fuel and ammunition.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I also think a lot of those young men were going to die anyway, which is unfortunate. It's the sort of equation we have to run when we make war policy. But I think it is a real stretch to think that what's going on in Iran is going to put us in a better position with China. I don't know if he's hearing me.
Can you hear me?
You're cutting in and out, and you're staying. I'm getting the teacup logo, which means you're not in app. I don't know why I can hear you.
Are you hearing me now?
I think it is. I can hear you, but you've got poor services. I think the issue. So it might come back.
Yeah, I'm in a bad area. I'm sorry. No, I'm good now. Again, from a strategic standpoint, I think Trump is doing a really good job. We've learned a lot of lessons. And in
right,
war,
hold on.
I don't know
the chat is saying that only 11% of China's oil comes from Iran. We could fact check that, but I also tend to trust my chat. I mean, we can check. It's just
That's fine. It's not just Iran. Again, Iran and Venezuela.
Right, but I don't think that Trump's ownership of the Venezuelan oil market is going to disable. I mean, we could look up the statistic of.
The guest has Trump Mobile. Sorry, that was funny. I had to read that. That was hilarious. No, I have Verizon.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, but Trump is selling the Venezuelan oil on the global market, and because oil as a commodity is fungible, it doesn't matter if he sells it directly to China because it'll still reduce the global prices, and China will be able to buy it from somebody else. So no, I don't think that argument works.
And I agree. I see that perspective, and now again, setting up on it, I see your perspective.
Also, the type of refinement that Venezuelan oil requires is more complicated due to the breakdown of the hydrocarbons that happen to be in the oil that's mined in Venezuela. But I don't actually see the connection to it in particular being a direct attack. There's such a direct connection between giving a missile to Ukraine and it being used to destroy something that belongs to Russia. But you're just talking about influence on the global oil market. And if Trump was trying to influence the global oil market in such a way that it would disable China's ability to fuel their war machine, I don't want to talk over you because of bad service. Can you hear me?
We might have to cut him loose at this point, man.
Hey, brother, I'd love to continue debating, but I barely hear it.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go for service. You can call back in another time, but to button.
I'm glad that we found.
The connection's bad when they're still talking for 8 seconds after I disconnect them. Yeah, I didn't want to end that conversation, but I'll finish my final thought, which is that if you think that Trump is going to put a stranglehold on the global oil market enough to make it hard for China to run their war machine because oil is fungible, I'll teach everybody what that word means. A dollar is fungible. If I loan you $1, I don't want the same dollar back. I just need $1 back. Whereas if I loan you a guitar, I want the same guitar back because guitars are not fungible. They're not exchangeable. One guitar does not equal another guitar. There's different values of guitars. There's different types of guitars. I have sentimental attachment to that guitar on the wall up behind me. I'd want it back. Oil's not like that. So if you put a stranglehold on the oil market enough to affect China, the effect of doing that is going to be to fuck up the global oil market in such a way that every country on the planet is going to have really high inflation because global fuel prices affect the cost of literally everything. Whether it's the lights in the building that you're working in, or the gasoline in the car you drove to work, or the power that runs the train that moves the goods that your company sells, like everything uses fuel. So the idea that you're going to put such a grip on the global oil market that it's going to affect China in any meaningful way, regardless of whether or not the oil that you're getting control over is the oil that would have been sold to them because of the fungible nature of oil, you'd have to destroy the world to have it affect China in the way that you want it to affect. So I just don't fucking get the argument at all. Seems very pro-war for reasons that like don't make any sense to me. Yeah, they're saying dropping the bucket in the chat. His whole premise is false. Yeah, it's just Also, ironically enough, if we're going to talk about the fungibility of oil, Venezuelan oil is an exception because it requires such more difficult refinement. It's like kind of not as fungible. It's kind of a different commodity that has a greater cost of production associated with it, depending on the type of fuel that you're trying to turn it into. Because the way that refining works has to do with like distilling it so that you get different like you take like crude oil is just a bunch of carbohydrates that are all different lengths, and you refine them, you distill them to sort them into buckets or tanks of different hydrocarbon length, and that's what the different types of fuels are: kerosene for jet fuel, diesel for trucks and boats, and then gasoline for cars, a can't talk about my chemistry today, carbon chain of 1. That's methane gas. So like just a spectrum, all the different fuels, and like the work needed to be done to get all those different fuels from Venezuelan crude oil is just more expensive to do. And one of the reasons that Venezuela, while having the largest oil reserves on the planet of any country, hasn't actually had as much influence on the global oil market as they otherwise could, given that fact, is because they lack the infrastructure to do that. And that's why we have some decades old tangles up with their industry, is because we've helped them in that way in the past. Because people like that call me and think I don't understand the global oil market. That's the mistake they make. We're going to talk to Terradawn after I thank Dylan for the $3 on Venmo. He said, here's your daily DNC payment. Shh, don't tell them that my money comes from the DNC. They'll believe me. They'll believe you. They won't think it's a joke. They'll think it's dead serious. They'll clip it. And that's very funny to me. Let's talk to Terradawn and see if she's a Trump supporter.
Hello.
Oh, hello. How old are you?
I'm 38.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I used to be.
Oh, what changed your mind?
I've been watching a lot of political commentary, and mostly just I thought that he would have been a good president in the first election when I voted for him. I did not vote in the last election because I wasn't sold on him, and I'm really glad I didn't vote, but I kind of wish I would have voted for Kamala instead. My biggest question is, now that I'm getting more interested in politics and like figuring out where I sit on the spectrum. I used to think I was Republican, and now I just did the political compass test, and I'm like just left of the line and below, and I'm just kind of curious because there's so many, when you guys are doing these debates and stuff, there's a lot of like talk about different places in the Republican Party, or like different views in the Republican Party and different views in the Democratic Party, and I don't understand any of that. And so I didn't know if that was something you could maybe help me understand, like where that means that I
like where you sit in terms of like exactly where you might sit along the political spectrum. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Well, I am happy to hear that you like the political compass test is a really interesting way for people to assess whether or not their party still aligns with them, because I have a lot of calls with Republicans where they tell me what they want. They're like, the government should protect us from this, the government should help with that, and I'm like, right, those are called social policies. Like those are expensive things the government can do to help us. That's what generally the Democrats want to do with taxpayer money. So it's a big question, and people think of the political spectrum as this linear thing, when even just in days recently on this show, I've been having conflict with people who are in my neck of the woods. I'm very far left, you know. I'm very close to the far left wing end of the spectrum, not quite as far as some people. But I argue even with neighbors in that neck of the woods about how, like, maybe somebody like you, even if you're left of center and voting blue, there are people farther left than me that think you're a monster for that think that you aren't helping. There are people who farther left than me that think I'm a monster and that I'm not helping by running my show or whatever. So it's a big question you've asked, but I think to get to some direction that I can take in it, I have to ask what's important to you. What do you care about in your politics?
Mostly, I just care about being a good person. Like I'm very pro-choice. That's a big thing for me. I'm not anti-immigrants or anything. Like, I do think that deporting like dangerous criminals is important. But
I agree.
Other than that, I don't really care.
I think there's like 12 million of them. I think less than 1 million of them are a problem. The other 11 million or so should be able to stay and work their jobs and all that stuff.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
And so for the most part, I work in the medical field. I was a preschool teacher for a really long time. Like, I care about people, and I think that should be our focus, is caring about people and each other and not being assholes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's clear then that you're going to be left of center, and I think that in terms of November, that's really like all that matters. Like you know, whether you're voting for a blue candidate to help defeat Trump's, you know, fascistic power structure he's creating in the country, whether you're doing that because you're just left of center or because you're super left wing like myself, like that doesn't make a difference in terms of what you tick on the ballot, and that's why I say that in the context of November, I'm perfectly willing to say that in most elections you should be voting for a blue candidate if you want to help fix this problem that we have with Republicans taking control in a way that I think is really, really unconstitutional. But I think the question for somebody like yourself is what happens after that, because I would guess, given based on what you said, that you're probably not too conflicted about who to vote for in November.
No.
Yeah, so I think going forward, what you get to now participate is that question of where on the left you should be, because the people farther left than me very, very reasonably have some grievances with establishment democratic politics that I absolutely co-sign. Very, very unhappy with the establishment Democrat politicians' influence on places like Israel and Gaza. Like, America, regardless of party, we're kind of evil, I think, when it comes to that sort of foreign politics issue. I agree with the leftists about that. The leftists, however, like some of the very far leftists think that, like, because of that fact, because they're all evil, because all politicians are greasy or whatever language they put on it, therefore voting doesn't matter. And I just think that's silly, because it still matters directly for us who's in charge next year. You know, how much power Trump has for his second term. You know, you sound reasonably sold on that. So I think what I would advise for you to do is to explore some, even if they're not for your state or your jurisdiction, like if you're just curious what I'm excited about in terms of that spectrum, it's people like James Tellerico, who's running for Senate in Texas. I think he's got a good chance of being one of the people who helps to flip Texas blue someday, because he's really running a for the people. The billionaires are the problem. This is not left versus right. This is top versus bottom. This is the very few at the top against the very many at the bottom, instead of the half on the right versus the half on the left. He's running that sort of campaign. He's not taking PAC money, including PAC money from Israel, which a lot of people criticize Democrats for doing, because it really shows that their incentive structure for what they're going to do as politicians is maybe not in alignment with some of those ideals I have about our involvement in foreign politics or foreign policy generally. I would advise for you to look at some of the farther left candidates and just kind of take in their policy, take in their speeches. You know, people like Mamdani, who Mamdani's just a mayor. You know, he's the mayor of New York, but New York's a bigger state than the state that I live in by twofold. So I in terms of weight class of politician, I file him along with the governors, because he's doing a governor's.
I've actually just recently learned about Mamdani, and I like what he's done, and I'm like, that's pretty interesting to me. Like, his approach to politics seems both very dramatic and highly sensible. And I think that the biggest criticism that people have of establishment Democrats, like if we're just going to put it in a kid-friendly nutshell, it's that they're not
they don't have dramatic enough ideas about how American politics can change. There's a lot of status quo that they're willing to uphold or just, stay in or just not really address because maybe it'll be bad for their career or for their donors or whatever it is. And that I think is really bad because there's a lot about American politics that's broken, that makes America evil, whether it's on a foreign policy perspective or just some of the things that we do domestically that are really horrible. Like, there was a time not that long ago when our establishment Democrats were, by a modern perspective, quite evil when it comes to things like the war on drugs or private prisons or like all these other social issues that we have here that we're not really in a position to fix any of that because we're worried about the president not following the Constitution. So I think you should look at the far left end of the spectrum in terms of what's actually available on the American political menu, because I think that the far left, the people who hate my guts, I think that they underestimate the good it can do for the country to make candidates like those more popular. People like AOC, Bernie Sanders, Mamdani, and James Tellerico.
James Tellerico is the one you were saying at the beginning.
I've been preaching his name because he's a new one. We've had Bernie Sanders for like 150 years, but James Tellerico's a young guy. He's like my age. He's in his 30s, and he's doing a really, really good job of demonstrating to the people of Texas that if they go by their values instead of what they actually normally associate with their party, where they're, if you actually look at what you want, if you take that political compass test and you care about what groceries cost and having good schools and that sort of thing, a lot of Texans are starting to realize that it's somebody like James Tellerico that should be representing them. And the less and less popular the parties become, the less and less people are going to vote just because of the parties. And I, as somebody on the left, I try to tell people what I honestly think about myself, which is that I don't vote along party lines, but it isn't a coincidence that in certain elections, all of the people I want to win are the same party. With maybe a couple of exceptions here or there, but it's the exceptions you should look at. It's the couple of independent candidates that have a real chance. It's people like James Tellerico who are kind of violating the party norms by taking a different approach to politics in a place where normally a Democratic candidate couldn't have a successful run for Senate in Texas.
Yeah. I think I'm officially registered as an independent because I just don't know. Haven't forever since I've been able to vote, but yeah, my views have definitely changed a lot since Trump's first term. So I just had some questions that I didn't know where to kind of get started at and how to figure all that out.
Yeah. I think that like let's just hypothetically say that we have a sweep of like a blue wave that we can't even imagine. Let's say we get 67 Senate seats, which is not at all likely. But let's say by some miracle, some almost mathematically impossible miracle, that we get a completely blue Congress and we impeach Trump and we remove him. And JD Vance's capabilities as president after Trump are neutered because he knows he'll get impeached right away if he breaks the rules. And then 2 years later, we get a blue president and we have maybe some Supreme Court justice appointments and we really get to work on fixing some of this stuff. Very suddenly, I wouldn't be worried about Trump anymore. Very suddenly, I wouldn't be worried about what people like J.D. Vance and Stephen Miller and Pete Hegseth are going to do with the government because the Congress would be keeping them in check. And then very suddenly, I would be able to breathe this breath of fresh air and say, we need to fix politics generally in this country so this shit doesn't happen again. We need to stop letting issues that affect millions of people in this country get swept under the rug, because I just mentioned prisons as a system that we can't really fix right now because of what's going on with our legislative attention. And that's a huge problem because of the way the history of law enforcement in this country has worked and the way that has contributed to continuing to allow institutionalized racism to make life difficult for marginalized groups here. And that's just talking about one marginalized group, which is largely African American men. I could talk about the other ones that are affecting other minority groups in really serious ways. And then I could also go back to the fact that I don't like the way the United States sits on the world stage. I'm perfectly happy as a liberal to say that the military budget in the United States should be enormous. I'm not one of those people who says we need to withdraw from all of our foreign bases. I think as far as the big global players go, it's okay that we're one of the big ones. I'm okay with us, helping out with world peace a little bit. The farther leftists tend to disagree with me about us being involved with anything, but I think we can address that involvement if we fix this problem. So right now the focus just needs to be on fixing the problem, but I'm really excited that there are people like you who are so on board with that you get to spend your free time worrying about what we're going to do next, because I think that's the big question mark that me and the people farther left than me tend to disagree on.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you.
I appreciate you for calling in. It's a breath of fresh air. Usually a lot of conflict on this show. Thank you, Tara. I'll let you go. Yeah, I mean, I also, need the conflict for the show to be successful and tend to kick friendly callers. But when I do get a friendly caller that I feel like is worth giving attention to, I tend to let people who say that they used to be Trump supporters but aren't anymore get some airtime, because we're here to learn how we can get people to stop falling for this shit. And if we say that the purpose of the show is just conflict, but we don't give any attention to the success cases, then it's counterproductive to the mission statement of the show, which is the same reason that when I get a concession from somebody who says that they really aren't interested in Donald Trump anymore, or they realize that they were wrong about the thing that they were really gung-ho about, I tend to either keep them on the line as long as I can or invite them to call back. Some people are overwhelmed when they realize they're that wrong, and I don't want to harp on it. I don't want to damage good progress made by beating down on somebody who's just made a serious concession about something that was really important to their intellectual, academic, or political perspective. Sparrow thinks that voting is a waste of time. I'd love for him to call in and tell me why, but instead we're going to talk to Ams Unknown 03 after, I think. Let's see. Dylan sent me another $3 to say, okay, one more DNC payment, but shh, they might clip it. LOL. Can't let them know the truth. Yeah, thanks for all the DNC money. Don't worry, I'll send my tithings to Dean Withers. We'll talk to Ams Unknown 0. Let's see. If he connects. Is he teacupped? Potentially. But maybe we'll have a really pleasant conversation, because I see Dylan in the queue, and those tend to be pleasant conversations. Ams Unknown, you there? Are you in the bathtub? What's going on? Goodbye.
No.
What's with all these people calling in from the bathtub? We're going to talk to Dylan. We're going to see what he wants to talk about today. Dylan is an 18-year-old who I've convinced on some things. He's made a lot of progress. So I'm curious what he wants to talk about today.
Good morning, Oscar.
How you doing, Dylan?
Morning, everybody. I'm doing pretty good. You can no longer say 18-year-old Dylan. I'm officially 19 now.
Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy belated birthday.
I appreciate it. It was yesterday, so I wasn't in as much yesterday. I was out celebrating.
Don't dox yourself.
Oh, well. I don't really care that much. But, yeah, I gotta go to my notes real quick. I had something I wanted to talk about, but it's gonna take me 1 second.
Yeah, sure thing.
So if you got other donors to thank.
Yeah, I'll just yap for a moment. I'll tell people that if you want to be a donor, you can go to the link tree in the bio and find my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, or Patreon. Buy Me a Coffee is international. So if you're living in a place where that doesn't have Venmo or Cash App or any of those things, you can use that. And then we can talk about the trips. I got clearance to announce that I'll be debating Dinesh D'Souza on a Sean Kelly program that's very similar to Jubilee. So that's pretty exciting. Going to go to Vegas for that in mid-September. And then we've got the dentistry trip planned. Almost planned. We're going to confirm dates today.
Guess we are.
Yeah. But that's in the works, because somebody decided that they're going to be the biggest donor to the show, and it's not financially. They're going to fix my fucking broken tooth finally, because the healthcare system in America is broken, and I think that if you break a tooth, you should get a free one, because that'd be a nice way for the world to work. That is not the way that the world works. So there's a very kind dentist somewhere who wants to fix that for me, so Splinter can stop fucking yelling at me about his teeth.
Dylan, I'm assuming you can still hear us, and I just want you to know the YouTube chat is lighting up with happy birthdays. So happy birthday from YouTube, like 50-fold.
Yeah. Dinesh D'Souza is kind of a... It's great. It's a good practice round, because I don't think he's a difficult opponent. He's been getting beaten up on debate stages for decades. The likes of Christopher Hitchens have had their way with him. And I think I'm going to listen to a bunch of that old stuff, and we're going to talk about some crazy conspiracy theory stuff. And I've got the Discord working on some resources for me to get brushed up on things to talk with him about. Because I really want to engineer an opportunity to, like, when I end up on Jubilee, take good advantage of my time on the program, and I think a Sean Kelly program is a good soft start for that. Dale, thank you for the $10. He said, "Keep up the great work, Oscar." Appreciate you, Dale. How you doing, Dylan? Did you find that question you had for me?
Yeah, I think so.
Let's hear
it. So when I did a little more research the last time we had spoken. Just to try and open my mind more fully. The thing that I came up with on the Trump side of everything, and I also looked up the Harris side of everything too. But the one thing that caught my eye was the veteran affairs reform, with heavily hold on, let me go make sure I'm using.
Are you aware of that one? I'm not familiar with that.
It's the Veterans Affairs Reform.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is new. This was just proposed a few days ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, I'm just seeing it from 4 days ago on Congress.gov. So that's a new one. I might not. Here, you can give me your thoughts on it, but I might not be super educated. Maybe if one of the friends of the show is, they can hop in the queue and help out. But yeah, what do you think about it? I do have a veteran in the queue. Thank you, Raven, for hopping in the queue.
Hi. Unfortunately, I don't know too much on the facts of this, but I do have an anecdote in relating to the VA, if you got space for it.
Yeah. Why don't you take over the call for now, Raven?
Hi. Good to see you again, Dylan. Happy belated birthday.
I appreciate it, Raven. Thank you.
So I am a veteran that gets healthcare through the VA. And one of the kind of sad things that happened towards the beginning of Trump's presidency, he came in and did a bunch of executive orders that really messed with just the operations within the VA and cut a bunch of positions and just changed the procedures and things that made it just very difficult for them to continue like uninterrupted service to a lot of veterans. And one day I was even in the office with my doctor and I asked her just straight up, like, how is this affecting your ability to treat people? And she just started crying.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I kind of cut you off. So yeah, that was just a moment we had where, we were both just crying because, she is so unable to treat the veterans in the way that she wanted to.
Among other elements, the bill revises VA disability ratings for sleep apnea and tinnitus, expands eligibility for memorial headstone or marker for the spouse, surviving spouse, child, or dependent of a veteran or member of the armed forces, addresses the administration of the VCCP, and codifies the eligibility standards. I'm not familiar with what the VCCP is. Maybe Raven is. Establishes a standardized screening process for priority or routine admission to certain mental health care programs, and addresses VA personnel, hiring, and infrastructure matters. It seems vague enough description to me that I'm not sure in what way any of those things are being adjusted.
So what I'm getting out of it is sleep apnea and tinnitus are one of the most common things that veterans get as disability ratings. I personally have tinnitus as 10% of my 60% disability. This is going to make that harder to have on your record. So it's going to take away potentially money from disabled veterans that they use to pay their bills and stuff. And I already struggle to pay my bills. So if that 10% gets taken away, that's going to impact me greatly.
So they're talking about removing these provisions. Is that what's going on? Because it just says revises here, and I don't know what exactly that's intended to mean.
Out of what I have heard about this, their intention is to make it more difficult to be able to claim that tinnitus is disabling.
Let's see. Modifying which independent study programs are covered under. See, you keep saying modifying. That's the difficulty with a bill, where it's like, if you're going to say modify, at least say makes stricter or makes less strict or something like that. Yeah, but I could try to find the actual full language of the bill. It should be right here somewhere. All information except text. I don't know. I might have to do more research on this, Dylan. If you want to have more of a conversation about it, I need to look into this.
Yeah, I probably need to do the same, honestly.
Yeah, sure thing.
One more thing before you go. One of the things that I've had my eyes on for a long time, just because I've been politically aware, specifically how it relates to veterans. When he first came in, he did a bunch of revising of the labeling of positions, like labeling a bunch of things unnecessary, and laid off a bunch of people, which created open positions, which he then froze hiring. And then once those positions remained vacant for long enough, he now uses that as validation that they're no longer needed and wants to cut them off of the roster completely. So basically they forced all these doctors and nurses to take on two people's workload and then said, don't worry, we'll hire somebody to fill in. Never did. And now is saying that help is never going to come.
Yeah, I mean, So I'm assuming basically what you guys are saying is that it's not really going to help the VA and the veterans that really need it. Is that what you guys are basically saying?
Can you say that again? Sorry.
No, you're good. So basically, the thing that I'm trying to understand, right? You're basically saying that it's going to be taken away from the VA, like the VA doctors, and it's not going to really help the veterans that really need it. Is that what you're trying to say?
Veterans are going to die because of this.
Okay. Yeah, so that's probably not something that I should support then. Okay, got it.
And veteran homelessness will also increase.
Right. Yeah. It's like Oscar said, I'll probably have to do more research about it if I wanted to have a longer discussion about it, to be honest with you.
And thanks for always being so open-minded.
Yeah, of course. I appreciate you taking the time and having that talk with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. You can also kick me at any time.
Well, actually, I did find, like, just because I was able to search tinnitus in the exact text of the bill, what it says is that ratings for tinnitus, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs shall revise the schedule for rating disabilities adopted and applied under, and then it lists the section of the code. It says, except provided in paragraph 2. Tinnitus may be assigned separate compensable disability rating. A grade disability of 10% shall be assigned, which Raven said is the case for them, for tinnitus only when tinnitus is diagnosed as associated with service-connected, as defined in Section 101.16 of Title 38 of the United States Code, hearing loss that is otherwise non-compensable under the laws administered by the Secretary. So to read the language of the bill, they are trying to make the definitions stricter, which I don't know the source of Raven's tinnitus. I don't know if Raven wants to share that, but it suggests to me that this is a bill that might take away that 10% disability rating from Raven, depending on the source of the tinnitus, which I think would be a restriction of the ways, because there are going to be people who have a 10% disability rating because of tinnitus who are going to lose it because of this bill. So if we're asking the question of what way in which these things are being adjusted, looking just at the tinnitus one, it does look like they're making it harder to get your disability rating for tinnitus.
Yeah. One of the
for
things.
those, we should mention for those listening, tinnitus is ringing in the ears. Just for people who don't know what that is.
Yeah. My tinnitus is from working in the nuclear missile silos. Those places are small, compact, and have a lot of loud equipment. So now it's just half the time when it's quiet, it's not quiet for me. And when I got out of the military and they were doing kind of my overall medical assessment, they didn't ask me what exactly caused the tinnitus. They just said, you've developed tinnitus during your service. It's most likely service-connected, but I don't know if they actually put in there that it is service-connected. It's just expected that if you develop tinnitus while you're in the military, it's most likely. So now if they put in this definition where you have to be service-connected...
Maybe you have to prove that now.
Right, and if I can't prove that, I just lose that 10%.
I would wager you probably can't prove that.
Debatable, because, they can always say, well, you're supposed to have hearing protection while you're in the silos. Which is not necessarily
knowing
true.
this administration, they'll just say it was your fault.
Right, exactly. And they do that a lot with veterans already as it is. The VA is just another healthcare system.
Yeah. So I think that in general, what we're seeing is that the administration is working pretty hard to cut costs associated with the sorts of services that they provide. We saw that in the big, beautiful bill, which I'm pretty sure you and I have talked about, Dylan, with restricting the eligibility for SNAP recipients, food stamp recipients. And it's kind of part of the same trend here, which is that we're seeing an administration that's looking for all the different ways to save a few bucks here and there by harming people who get government services. Meanwhile, they're spending oodles of money on a bunch of stuff that Trump wants to do and increasing the government deficit by a lot, increasing the amount that we're going to spend in the federal government a lot through things like the big beautiful bill. And that to me is part of all part of the same trend, all part of this same erosion of what the government is actually supposed to be for, in very much a for the people sense. And in this case, very sadly, for the people who have served this country, which is despicable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, I can't debate that you guys are wrong. Honestly, the stuff that you were telling me, it's seeming like it's going to hurt the veterans more than trying to help them.
Well, I wasn't familiar with this particular piece of legislation until you brought it to me, but when people talk about sources, like let's talk about one particular source that we just used a moment ago. Congress.gov is sometimes a very harmful source to use because stuff will get posted on there that congressmen or women or representatives have said on the House floor, like these reports and stuff. And you have to think, okay, this is being hosted on Congress.gov, but this is information that's coming from so-and-so senator. I have to trust them as the source of this information. I have to trust that they are fairly interpreting and fairly regurgitating this information that they got from some other source bundled in this report that I can find on Congress.gov. Whereas in a situation like this, the question is, what does the bill do? Congress.gov is the right source. It has the full text of the bill as it is to be voted on. So if you like, just to add a little educational point to this call, it's that if you want to know what a bill does, go to Congress.gov and read it, which is what we did, because I didn't know the answer when you called in, but I looked it up, and having Raven on help, so I was able to spend a moment reading before I brought you my answer. But at least on the tinnitus thing, I now know what this bill is going to do, and I don't have to trust anybody who's telling me that. I don't have to trust a video of some politician talking about the bill. I've gone and read the bill, and I don't like what it's going to do to tinnitus ratings, because unless you give me a really good reason why, I don't think we should restrict the things that that allow people to get disability eligibility as veterans. I think I think if anything, I'm okay with us being a little bit loose about that sort of thing.
Right.
If I may chime in real quick, somebody was asking about sleep apnea in the YouTube chat. And if I can speak on what little I do know about it, stress disorders often result in having sleep apnea as a side effect. So we can pretty easily connect why veterans have stress-related disorders and how that would be generalized in their disability rating and not connected to a specific service-related event. So you can't put PTSD, you can't pinpoint that down to a single event generally.
Right. Generally, if the Crowletariat is in my queue, it's for a good reason. Hello, Crowletariat.
Hey. So, while that bill is bunk, there is one that recently passed that is actually really good for veterans, and I need more veterans to know about it. I'm actually helping a food stamp client who has been fighting a disability claim for 14 years use it to actually get her 14 years of service, because I'm like, here's what I do outside of work. Find me there. I can't help you with the VA stuff here, but find me outside of work. And that is the STAR Act. The STAR Act actually allows third-party assessments to connect things that the military may have lost in paperwork. I'm one of those cases. My knee is covered, but my back isn't, because they quite literally lost the documentation for my back. So I'm in the middle of a STAR Act claim myself, where I'm using third-party providers to link my back to the military, and I'm helping this old sergeant get her disability using the STAR Act as well. Because that's the main important thing the STAR Act does, because it's not uncommon for medical paperwork to get lost sometimes. And now the VA has to take third-party assessments as if they were first-party assessments.
Yeah.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah. That was, like I said, in terms of the people who are really concerned about fraud rates or whatever, be like, oh, you can get a doctor's note that says this, and I'm just like, yeah, minor fraud rate, I don't care. That sounds good. I think that's a better way for veterans to get the care that they need.
They have to take third-party medical assessments, and also, let's take my instance. A statement from my wife outlining my worst days where, I have to actually, use assistive devices to get around because my back is out. They now have to treat a statement from my wife as, an actual piece of evidence.
Sounds reasonable to me.
I should look into that, because my back spasms...
Veterans don't know about it!
Yeah, my back spasms can literally put me in bed for a week and a half straight. And I'm only 60% disabled, even though that causes me to not be able to hold a job at all.
Yeah. But yeah, I appreciate you guys taking the time. I'm gonna let you go talk to other people, Oscar. I just want to say one thing. Raven, the other dude, I don't know your name. I appreciate thank y'all for your service, no matter what. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully, Oscar, guys, you can change the minds of other people. I thank y'all for taking the time and speaking with me today.
Always happy to talk to you, Dylan. Thanks for hopping up.
Thanks for being a open-minded person. You really give me hope for the future.
Of course. Thank you very much. Y'all have a good day.
Thanks for your time, Raven.
Awesome.
Love you, chat.
Why am I thanking you for your time? I pay you for your time. Get back to work. How you doing?
As I exit, one last note that I keep yelling at veterans about. Dear veterans, please stop going to third-party agencies. That's where they're going to get you VA disability while they take a slice of the fucking pie. It is actually federal law. Every state must have a Department of Veteran Affairs to assist you in this process for free. Your tax dollars pay for this, rather than having an independent agency take 30 to 40% of your back pay, go through the state agency. It's quite literally what you pay for.
Appreciate the PSA. Thanks for hopping up, Crow.
No worries.
We'll talk to him soon, I'm sure. Jacob, we'll talk to you in just a second after I thank Little Boots for sending $10 just to say cat tax, because I put up the cat cam over on YouTube because the Scout's off screen when she sleeps on the desk. And then Dale sent $10 to say, keep up the great work, Oscar. Appreciate you, Dale. And then 709 sent DKK45. That's about $7. You said, tinnitus sucks. When it's bad, it's like somebody screaming in your ear all the time. Sucks to hear you suffer from it, Raven. I also suffer from a little bit of tinnitus, which is quite a bummer because I'm a musician, and the note that I hear ringing not all the time but sometimes is quite a dreadful note that does not fit in any key. It's just terrible. Don't like that at all. But I certainly didn't get tinnitus serving our country. So leave me out of it. Emily sent $25 on Venmo to say, sending my usual love. Happy Monday, friends. Happy Monday indeed. I'm having a good day today. I feel like we're getting a good variety of calls. Paige sent $2 on Venmo to say, you're very quickly becoming my favorite political streamer. Working on it. Trying to practice all the time. Trying to pay Jessie to be my producer and Raven to be my editor and make sure that I get a good panel of experts and increase the production value. We are moving studios soon. So we'll that
I thought that was supposed to be a surprise.
It'll be a surprise when it happens, but you know, it's soon. Soon is soon, right? Also, at any given moment, like, yeah, there's 1,000 people watching, but it'll be a different 1,000 people tomorrow. Some people will be surprised and some people won't. And then when we appear in the new studio randomly one day, it will farm engagement that half the audience knows and the other half doesn't. And that'll be good for the show. And people will forgive me that I've done that slightly manipulative thing with my audience of sparsely informing them that there's a change of scenery coming because it will drive engagement when the day comes. So those of you who are here for this conversation, you 1,000 people, make sure you farm the shit out of that engagement when the day comes. Really get everybody confused. Say, what? You didn't hear that he's in moving studios? He's been announcing it every 20 minutes for weeks, even though that's not true. Don't lie on my behalf. I'm kidding. But, you know, gotta be transparent about the engagement farming. Thank you, Alex, for the $5. Just for being you, brother. Enjoying the work, and I feel like you are helping us to unfuck the fuckery. You know who's helping us unfuck the fuckery? Dylan. Dylan is giving people hope. You know, like the hope that people get from Dylan calling into my show doesn't come from me. It's because he's willing to learn and listen. And that's really, really important for young people in the country right now. It's really, really important for people of all ages in this country. And I really, really appreciate Dylan's openness. The fact that, you know, he was misguided about a couple of things that we talked about, I think now months ago, and he's calling in knowing a little bit more about a bill that's recently authored than I did. He brought me something that I hadn't heard before. He brought us an interesting new topic that gave us this cool conversation with some of my veteran co-hosts, and, you know, had some PSAs about healthcare for veterans. Like, what an amazing way that Dylan gets to participate in the politics of his country just by being polite and, you know, willing to listen. And, you know, I've even told him not to trust me. I told him to go do his own research, and it sounds like he's been doing that. And I'm really, really excited for Dylan about that, because he's a bastion of hope for a lot of people. There's a lot of people for whom I hope Dylan could be a poster child. So fucking W's in the chat for Dylan. I already see some. Screech is loose. Is he here? I saw him in the chat earlier. But we're not going to talk to Screech. We are going to talk to Jacob after I double check that I haven't missed any donations.
You did.
I did? Oh, Jennifer Ferguson sent $5 on YouTube Super Chat to say compensation for some of Raven's time. Yes. I do pay people to help me with the show. So that is a big chunk of what the donations get spent on. So thanks everybody for supporting the show. The show runs on contributions from viewers like you. What's that? The old PBS commercial?
I was just going to say, thank you, PBS.
Thanks, PBS. Yeah. Thanks, PBS, for teaching me how to do my ad read. Jacob is our next caller. Is he going to warm the hearts of some Americans? Is he going to inspire people to go read bills? How old are you?
Hello?
How old are you?
Oh, this is, I am 28. It's actually Jace.
Jace. Oh, gotcha.
Jace. After the Magic the Gathering card, yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
First time caller.
Yeah, no worries. Do you have a Bluetooth device connected? You're a little muffled.
Oh, yes, I do. Sorry.
No worries. Just hop out of the app and disconnect that. You'll probably sound much, much better when you get back. Very, very ironic the way it works. That you'd think the Bluetooth would be preferable. Hello.
Sorry, just to say this.
Much better.
I'm currently at work. We're over in not to like necessarily dox myself. We're over in the Spokane area. We have these forest fires around here. So I am working in my grocery store.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, I can hear you. Ooh, sounds like you're teacupped, but I can hear you just fine. But I don't at this time know if you're a Trump supporter. What is your political perspective? If you've left the app, you are muted when you leave the app. You can hear me, but I can't hear you. I haven't been following the fires as closely as I should be. I've been seeing some incredible footage, but I don't know where they are or what all the efforts that are happening. Hey, are you back?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Yeah. So I am. I'm a pretty progressive. I pay a lot of attention to like the Constitution. My favorite subject in school is history, and this is like the rules and everything of how it's supposed to go. Now, I'm in this little weird pocket in Washington where we're right next to Idaho, so we have a lot of conservatives, and I have a lot of conservative coworkers who are very, America. The problem that I'm having is that typically whenever I talk about politics or engage in politics with them, they take a very strong stance on American values and the Constitution. But whenever I'm addressing the hypocrisies or like where things are outside of rules, it just kind of goes out one ear and out the other. Like the easiest one is, we respect the Constitution, but they want to elect Trump for a third term.
Yeah, I think that a lot of people are stuck in a place of not like really realizing that their perspective on issues doesn't respect any particular set of rules. They just see a new situation and tell you how they feel about it. Because like I can imagine a situation where I'm 2 terms deep with a president who I love, who has done incredible things. I'm so excited about all the programs. They're keeping all their campaign promises that they told me about. They're doing all these things that I'm so wildly excited about. And then if they said they wanted to run for a third term, I would say, what the fuck are you doing? No, that's against the Constitution. Even if I wanted a third term. But I think that what we're contending with right now is that the average American walking down the street doesn't think in terms of a rigorous set of rules that way. They genuinely just think third term, that sounds nice. I like this president. And I think that people need to be held to account for the fact that if we allow presidents to break rules in that way, violate norms in that way, it's not something that you'd want to see the other side doing. And because it's not something that you'd want to see the other side doing, you got to like exercise the integrity of saying that you don't want your team playing dirty either. But I think that's a hard pill to swallow for people. But once go ahead.
Sorry, I've tried every angle. Like I have this I'm going to call him John Doe. John Doe is a coworker who, he gets so close every time. Like he's talking about how he's like, we should defund the police. Police shouldn't have firearms. They should be able to handle a fist fight 1 versus 4, and that's the only requirement. I'm like,
that's not reasonable.
That's not no, it's not like he's like, well, women can't do that, so they can't be in charge, but they can't be in the police force if they can't 1v4 barehanded. But police shouldn't have guns because they kill too many people. I'm like, you're almost there.
Well, I think that there's like almost a reasonable position baked into that, where like I could say that like, for example, police officers in England have taught us that many of the jobs that police officers do don't require firearms to promote public safety. And I think that's reasonable. But I think that there's people on the left who are pretty unreasonable who are like, take guns away from cops. And it's like, I don't know, man. We've got some problems where the gun is the solution sometimes. Like there is a role for such a police officer in this country.
So I've been trying to reconcile, like, I like your method. You definitely take this constitutional take of like, well, here are the rules and let's see if that matters to you. But the crowd that I'm typically around in this, like, we're in this Washington, Idaho, conservative, like we're in this very weird political hemisphere located in the Pacific Northwest where the rules matter so much to these people. But how they're applied isn't. And I'm trying to figure out how to communicate this with them I've tried the constitutional take. I've tried like, well, you're a Christian. Let's go with your personal ethos, values take.
What would Jesus do with the illegal immigrants? I've tried that question on the show.
I've tried every handle of like, so America matters. Here's the rules. Jesus matters. Well, here's the rules. Your own personal family. If this were to happen to them, like I've taken every course in putting their own. Empathy is difficult, but like I'm like putting them in their own shoes of their own values, and that still isn't enough.
Well, some people are brick walls, you know, like that's the question when somebody calls into my show is we have to sit here and wonder, are they a lost cause or not? Like, is there any approach that's going to get through to this person?
Well, the real weird thing is that this guy I'm talking about, like, I mean, he was a security guard for drag racing. Like drag race bars, like he knows so many of these, so many transgender just cross or drag queens, and he's still like they're the devil. but also like he comes from such an empathetic place. He's like, no, nobody should be able to bully these people, but the government should be allowed to determine their bodies.
Yeah, or whether or not they can own guns or something, according to Donald Trump. That's something that came up earlier in today's episode. But yeah, I mean, I think that I wish there was good, straightforward advice for me to give someone like you, but I think you know from watching my show that it's not any particular method. It's about arming yourself with as many tools of communication as possible and knowing what's true, and then using those tools of communication to talk about what's true. My cat doesn't like the way my coffee smells. She's trying to bury it.
Well, anyways, appreciate what you're doing. I'm looking closely at this. We're gonna see how this, house, the Pacific Northwest handles fire aid with.
Well, I think that Trump has a really bad track record with emergency response, because like you'd think that emergency response should be nonpartisan, but I really do invite you to call back in if you're close to this and you have some insight about it, because I'd love to hear.
In Washington is the thing. I'm a little scared that we're not going to be given our aid just because we're in a blue state,
right?
But we're also in like the Republican pocket of the blue state. So I don't know if we get special treatment by county.
We'll see. Keep me posted.
I'll let you know tomorrow if I'm on.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm not online, feel free to message me. I'd love to hear from you.
Anyways, lovely talking to you. You have a great day.
Thank you for your time, Jace. Don't usually take friendly calls like that in the middle of the show, but he said he was living close to something big that's happening right now, so I figured I may as well throw the news up and give it some airtime, because I really would like to hear from him if that happens. I've evacuated because of forest fires before. It's pretty scary. And I evacuated from the Boundary Waters when it was on fire a couple of years ago. And that, I can't imagine that type of terror, but for me, I was just worried about getting home, and these people are worried about their homes burning. So it's an issue I'll give attention. Paul sent me $5 on Venmo to say, I work for PBS/NPR, so technically this money is from viewers like you. Love the show. Keep it up. Oh, that's crazy. What a throwback to a few minutes ago. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That's cute.
Yeah, that is very cute. Thank you. I appreciate that very much. Celestial Darkness sent $2 to say Bubba is a motherfucking legend. Who is Bubba? What are we talking about? What did I miss? Did I miss something in the YouTube chat? We'll check it after I read this other super chat from
Celestial,
Kronos.
and here's a shameless plug here. Celestial is literally so funny in the Discord all of the time. So I'm going to say we probably missed a reference in the Discord.
See, the show has developed so many inside jokes I can't even keep track of them. But I am all for promoting them. We should have that. We should have some in jokes so people feel like they should watch the show more.
There is a reason about the Discord though. I'm not quite as encouraging today about joining. Maybe give it a day or two of messages to roll in so we can get past some things in the Discord.
Oh, what's going on in the Discord? Do we have Discord drama?
No. Do you remember what happened last night?
Am I brain farting? What are we talking about?
All of the edits of me?
Oh, that! I think we should put some of those on the screen.
No!
Why did you even remind me, Jessie? If you want to see embarrassing pictures of Jessie, you can go to the link tree in the bio and find my Venmo, Cash App, Buy Me a Coffee, Discord, and Patreon. Though you don't send me money through the Discord, but you can find embarrassing pictures of Jessie on there. Because she was on camera for the members only stream last night, which we do after our Sunday evening show. We had Ghostly on, a talking head who you may have seen if you were following some Metro Surge content and some other activist type content. That's over on YouTube. I do the members only stream on all the platforms where people follow me or like pay a monthly subscription. But the evening show that I do before the members only stream on Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time, I do just on YouTube so that the conversation can be really loose. Because I kind of always have my guard up in terms of the TikTok filter when I'm on this platform. But I really like to be able to properly check out and just talk directly about the issues. I'm sure I either already have or will at some point in the future accidentally say on a live on my own show on YouTube where I don't have to do that bullshit. I also don't really have to do it on here. I'm kind of moving away from that. Like, I think we can say that people get killed by the government. I think we can say that the feds killed Alex Preddy. I don't seem to get a ban for that. Do I get harmed in the promotion? I don't know. But I know it's not a problem on YouTube. So we do that show over there, and then Jessie was on camera for that members only stream, and there were some memes made about her. What office are you running for again, Jessie?
The mayor of Minnesota.
Yeah, Jessie's going to be mayor of Minnesota. Write her in on the ballot for that.
I messed up talking one time.
Oh yeah, you misspoke, and the internet made memes about it. I wouldn't know a damn thing about that, not one bit. Nurse Elliott sent a buck to say in jokes, lean check. No, I don't lean off screen during the show. Some hosts on here do, but I do lean off screen sometimes during the members only stream because that's chill time. That's friendly time for kicking it, and I don't need my brain to be working so fast when I'm on the members only stream. So we get to just like hang out. Chrono sent another $5 to say we might be getting an audit today, so I'm off to work actually. Ooh, yeah, he's important at his job. Make sure that you pass that audit. And then Cosmic Travis, he sent $10 campaign donation for Jessie for mayor of Minnesota.
God damn it!
They're gonna be bumper stickers, Jessie. We're doing merch, right? Are there gonna be Jessie for mayor of Minnesota shirts?
My bad. Cosmic was a big instigator of that last night.
Yeah.
Cosmic. Celestial did clarify that they were referencing Bubba as Bill Clinton, which we do know Bubba refers to Bill Clinton, but out of context, sometimes we wonder if it means a different username. Celestial is just here for the chaos.
I'm here for it. Bring the chaos. Friendly chaos. Jennifer, welcome to the team over on YouTube. Jennifer became a Oskar Quentin supporter.
Won't miss the next one. There you go.
Hmm?
Won't miss the next one.
Won't miss the next one. I am trying to make the evening show like a more regular thing because we our guest yesterday was a little bit last minute because we had a kind of not too serious political candidate drop out at the last minute due to some like Instagram drama that's like totally stupid. If you want the tea, you should have been in the members stream because we talked about the tea there. But I'm really thankful for Lee for hopping on. We had a really interesting conversation about some of like kind of the path forward and getting organized and getting good information about what's going on in the country out to people. So if you're interested in like a properly serious conversation about that, that's long form instead of me just mentioning it casually here and there, definitely check out the evening show. That's under live streams on my YouTube channel because we just sent the VOD as is. We didn't re-upload it. But I was really excited to meet and talk to him, and I'm really excited to meet and talk to some of the people who have said yes to doing the show. It's an ever-growing list of people that includes some pretty cool cats, and I'm thinking that we're at a clip where like it's not going to be unreasonable for us to do the evening show 2 nights a week. But I got to keep paying my employees to do things for me because the more hours I'm live a week, the less I can do else, in terms of what else needs to be done for the show, because Raven's mostly doing the clips, Jesse's handling a lot of the management, but I'm still responsible for a lot of stuff, and we're just like always trying to reduce my workload for when I'm offline so that I can spend more time in front of the camera, because if we're doing a 4-hour show, that's 28 hours a week. That's like almost full time just sitting in front of the camera, never mind the rest of everything else I do. Actually, no, with because it'd be over full time. Full time's like 32 hours or something. With the members only stream and the evening show, it pushes us up to that generally, especially with less creeping. That's if we do 4 hours a day, which we lately we've been doing most days.
Are we doing that today?
It is past noon. Are we cool with that? Did you make that phone call? Do we know the fate of the rest of our afternoon?
We do, but it wouldn't be a bad thing for me to get started on the rest of our afternoon, if that makes sense.
So we know. Wait. So are we or are we not doing the big exciting thing we were hoping to be able to start doing today?
We most definitely are.
We are starting that today.
We are starting that today.
Show's over, folks. That's a wrap. Let's get started. I'm excited.
Sure?
Yeah,
Oh, hell
totally.
yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to check for donations and I'll do a little more housekeeping, but we should absolutely get started on that. I think maybe the people who watch the member stream, maybe they know what we're talking about. Maybe I alluded to it earlier in the show. But Hi-Fi Mike sent $2 to say, for the mayor.
Thank you for donating to my future campaign as the first ever mayor of a state.
I think we should make New York City a state, and Mom Donnie should be the mayor.
Mom Donna stand forever.
Mom Donna stand. We'll make it a country. All right. W everybody. W chat. W college today. We had some
Great show. It almost feels good to wrap it there while it's still good.
None. I think that today's show has actually increased my faith in humanity.
I would agree wholeheartedly.
That doesn't usually happen. Sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of down in the nitty gritty of it. But yeah, 10 o'clock Central Time every day. We're going to aim for 4 hours most days, but we're doing some infrastructural upgrades for the show today and throughout the next few days. So maybe not. We'll see. But let's see how much we can get done today. Maybe we can do a 4-hour show tomorrow. That show will start at 10 o'clock Central Time here on TikTok and YouTube Live. Anything else before we go offline, Jessie?
No, I love you, Tori. Thanks for being a great mod in the chat today. Thanks, everyone, shouting out my song. You guys are awesome.
I'll see you guys tomorrow. Goodbye, TikTok, and goodbye, YouTube.